Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 2012, is often called the best modern take on the heroes in a half shell. It blends the goofy charm of the 1987 series with the darker tone of 2003, while giving Splinter and Shredder their most personal rivalry yet. The show reimagines classic arcs like the Farmhouse and Space Stories, backed by a stellar voice cast including Mark Hamill, Zelda Williams, and Rob Paulsen. Though some seasons drag and a few character changes split fans, its action, heart, and clever mix of past influences make it one of the strongest TMNT versions ever. So without further ado, let's begin. Years ago, Hamato Yoshi, a Japanese ninja master, moved to New York City and bought 4 baby turtles. One night, he witnessed a shady deal in an alley, and during the fight that followed, both he and the turtles were splashed with a strange chemical mutagen. As a result, Yoshi mutated into a humanoid rat, while the turtles became anthropomorphic. In the present, Yoshi, now called Splinter, has raised and trained the turtles, Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael in the art of ninjutsu. On their 15th mutation day, he reluctantly allows them to visit the surface. There, they taste pizza for the first time and spot a teenager, April O'Neil, who quickly catches Donatello's attention. Soon after, April and her father Kirby are attacked by mysterious men. The turtles try to help but fail, and the kidnappers escape. Michelangelo notices they are androids controlled by brain-like aliens, but his brothers dismiss him. Back at the lair, Splinter scolds them, yet names Leonardo as leader to guide the team. They interrogate a thug named Snake and learn the aliens are called the Krang, who have been abducting scientists. However, Snake mutates into a weed monster, Snakeweed, forcing the turtles into a tough battle. Donatello manages to save April, though Kirby remains captured, and afterward Splinter praises Leonardo's leadership. Meanwhile, in Japan, Oroku Saki, now the Shredder, sees news of the turtles and realizes his old rival Yoshi is still alive, vowing to finish their fight. The turtles stake out a rooftop to ambush the Krang before they raid a lab, but boredom quickly sets in, and Mikey starts poking Raph's head until the two break into a loud argument. Leo tries to keep order, but their noise attracts Vic, an angry tenant who mistakes them for vandals. Vic records their presence, sparking an even louder clash that alerts the Krang. A battle erupts, and though the turtles win, Vic slips away with the footage. Sirens close in, forcing the brothers to retreat. Back in the lair, Splinter scolds Raph for letting anger ruin their mission. During training, Raph dodges arrows at first, but falters when his brothers taunt him, proving that temper clouds his judgment. Splinter warns that calm reasoning is the only way to handle Vic. But when the turtles confront him, Vic demands $1 million to delete the video. Raph snaps, giving the Krang an opening to capture Vic. Later, as Raph confides in Spike, Splinter shares how his own rage against Oroku Saki cost him Tang Shen and his home, warning his son of the same path. Splinter explains that he could have chosen to ignore the insults, and he asks Raph what kind of choice he will make. Meanwhile, Leonardo, Donatello, and Michelangelo track the Krang to an old building with a giant mutagen tank. There, they find Vic tied up. The Krang want his video to study the turtles and show it to others. While the brothers try to rescue Vic, he stubbornly refuses to leave without his phone, alerting the Krang. During the battle, a stray laser breaks the mutagen tank, spilling it onto Vic. He mutates into a monstrous spider creature with extra limbs and acid spit, which Mikey dubs Spider Bites. Although Spider Bites nearly defeats them, Raph arrives in time. By following Splinter's lesson and ignoring insults, he fights smartly, helping the brothers regain control. Together, they destroy the phone, forcing Spider Bites to retreat. Later, Leo apologizes, but Raph brushes it off, ending with playful teasing between him and Mikey. At his dojo, Chris Bradford easily defeats several foot soldiers in training until Xever arrives with news from their master. Shredder reveals that his old foe, Splinter, still lives and now leads his own ninja clan. He orders Bradford to destroy them, and though Bradford and Xever bicker, they're forced to work together. Meanwhile, the turtles race across rooftops in a playful stunt contest until Mikey is distracted by a stray cat. His attempt to return it goes badly, ending with scratches and a scolding owner. Before they can laugh it off, the Foot Clan ambushes them. The brothers fight hard, but when Bradford himself joins the battle, his raw strength overwhelms them. Only the arrival of police forces both sides to retreat. Back at the lair, Leo complains the fight wasn't fair, but Splinter warns that victory, not fairness, decides battle. Later, Mikey discovers that Bradford is a celebrity martial artist and quickly befriends him online. Against his brother's doubts, Mikey sneaks out to meet Bradford, who at first attacks but then welcomes him inside. Bradford tries to pry Splinter's location from him but fails. Instead, he teaches Mikey a dangerous move called the Death Dragon. When Mikey proudly shows it off, Splinter immediately recognizes it as a dark technique, proof that Bradford is no friend at all. Meanwhile, Mikey heads back to Bradford's dojo, thinking there's a surprise party, but is ambushed by both Bradford and Zever. Overpowered, he is tied up, but his brothers arrive in time to save him. However, Bradford and Zever secretly follow them home with the Foot Clan, only to walk into a trap. After a fierce battle, the Turtles switch opponents and gain the upper hand. Mikey even defeats Bradford with the very move Bradford taught him. Finally, Donnie and Leo flush the villains down the sewers. Back at the lair, the Turtles celebrate with pizza, but Splinter warns that Shredder now knows they exist, and the real war has just begun. Later, Raph consoles Mikey, reminding him he deserves better friends, which gives Mikey the courage to unfriend Bradford with a smirk. In the lair, Splinter meditates deeply, almost reaching oneness with the cosmos, when loud noises from the living room break his focus. Mikey has built a skate ramp and convinces his brothers to join in his stunt to set a world record by jumping over 3 mutant turtles. Just as Mikey makes his descent, Splinter enters, demanding answers, and chaos follows. After the crash, Splinter asks what punishment fits, but he dismisses Leo's suggestion of cleanup duty and instead grounds the brothers for a week. To make matters worse, the ramp collapses into a heap. Later, bored out of their minds, Donnie introduces his new invention, a music player with an advanced AI chip. Mikey names it the T-Pod and tests it, first suffering from polka music before Donnie adjusts it. While Leo insists on obeying Splinter, Raph grows restless and convinces Donnie and Mikey to sneak out, with Leo reluctantly joining to keep them in check. On the rooftops, the T-Pod mysteriously downloads endless songs, surprising Donnie. Their fun is cut short when Leo clumsily crashes into a greenhouse and lands in garbage, earning Raph's mockery. Soon after, they spot Baxter Stockman in battle armor. At first, Leo hesitates, but once Stockman attempts a break-in, they attack, overpower him, and toss him into a dumpster. While fleeing the cops, Mikey notices the T-Pod is missing but hides the truth. Meanwhile, Stockman finds it, and when he plugs it in, his armor begins upgrading itself. The next day, the Turtles are exhausted from sneaking out, but Master Splinter still makes them train. Since they are sluggish, he grows suspicious and tests them with a wooden sword, which they fail to dodge. Later, Leo relaxes by watching Space Heroes, but a news report interrupts the show, revealing that Baxter Stockman has attacked a TCRI office with upgraded armor. The Turtles are shocked to see he has the missing T-Pod, and Mikey finally admits that he lost it. Realizing they must stop him, they sneak out again that night. They track Stockman to his hideout and demand the T-Pod back. However, Stockman refuses, and a fierce fight begins. Thanks to the armor upgrades, he easily defeats them, even creating a robot drone from his suit. After tossing them into a dumpster, he upgrades further into Stockman Pod. The Turtles limp back home, where Splinter catches them. They confess everything, and Splinter scolds them but also advises how to face armored foes. With a new plan, they lure Stockman into battle once more. Mikey uses a beehive to exploit a weak spot in the armor, and Leo destroys the T-Pod with his blade. Powerless, Stockman is dumped into the trash again. Splinter praises the brothers, lifts their grounding, and humorously challenges them to more training. The Turtles engage in another heated battle with the Krang inside a warehouse. But during the fight, a Krang laser unexpectedly blasts Donatello's bow staff in half. This sudden loss leaves Donnie questioning how he is supposed to fight advanced alien technology with nothing more than a 6-foot stick. Nevertheless, after the team manages to obliterate all the droids and even a large piece of machinery, Donnie starts wondering if technology itself could be the answer. Determined, he drags one of the Krang droids back into the sewer lair, hoping to reverse engineer its tech. His experiment succeeds, and soon he proudly unveils a robot turtle packed with gadgets, quickly nicknamed Metalhead by an amused Michelangelo. With features like a laser blaster, a flamethrower, and near indestructible armor, Metalhead impresses Donnie, though Raph and Leo dismiss it as puny. Their doubts vanish when they challenge the robot to a fight, only to be easily beaten one by one. Donatello insists Metalhead should join them in battle, but Splinter allows only a test run. Donnie, however, ignores his master's warning. Meanwhile, April shows Raph and Leo a website filled with mysterious sightings of the Krang, believing these clues could lead to her missing father. While investigating, she proves surprisingly resourceful, managing to spy on the Krang, until a small accident forces her to defend herself, cleverly knocking out a droid with a sledgehammer. Meanwhile, Donatello, controlling Metalhead from the lair, joins Leo, Raph, and Mikey as they race across a rooftop. Unfortunately, Metalhead proves incredibly loud and clumsy, which makes the others nervous about attracting unwanted attention. Their worries increase when they spot April on the street below. She explains that the Krang are planning to contaminate the city's water supply with mutagen as part of one of their strange experiments. Although the turtles still don't fully understand why the Krang want to mutate humans or why they are kidnapping scientists, Leo decides Metalhead's clumsiness is too risky and orders Donnie to stay behind. While the others infiltrate a Krang warehouse, Donnie and April remain on a nearby rooftop to keep watch. Inside, Leo, Raph, and Mikey discover canisters of mutagen being exchanged, but they are quickly cornered. Just when defeat seems certain, Metalhead crashes through the roof and wipes out several droids with his laser blaster. However, when an explosion allows a Krang brain to seize control of Metalhead, Donnie loses his connection. Splinter urges him to stop relying on gadgets and return to battle with his bow staff. Despite his doubts, Donnie cleverly uses the staff to topple a support pillar onto Metalhead, piercing its chest and destroying it. Back at the lair, Donnie's desire for new weapons continues, until his latest missile-guided staff misfires, forcing him to shout one simple word: run! Donnie and Mikey are training in the lair's dojo, but when Mikey uses a backflip to counter Donnie's SEO Nage move, Donnie scolds him for defending the wrong way. Curious, he asks Splinter what he would do if attacked with Soy Nage, but Splinter simply replies that he doesn't know and advises Donnie to learn how to fight without overthinking. Later, Leo, Raph, and Mikey catch Donnie working on a complicated flowchart about how to get April to hang out with him, and they can't stop laughing. Donnie insists he needs to be ready for every possible response. Soon after, April arrives with news that Dr. Tyler Rockwell, a famous scientist, has gone missing. Believing the Krang are behind it, she decides to investigate, and Donnie eagerly tags along. To Leo's surprise, this was one of the scenarios already on Donnie's chart. At Rockwell's lab, Donnie and April find the place wrecked, a canister of mutagen, and Dr. Victor Falco, who explains that Rockwell experimented on a monkey. Suddenly, the mutant monkey ambushes Donnie and April. Though Donnie is badly beaten, April calms the creature by speaking gently, and it retreats. Back at the lair, Splinter reminds Donnie about the value of fighting without thinking, while April discovers Rockwell's notes showing the monkey now has psychic powers. To track it, Donnie equips the team with his latest invention, the T-phones. Back on the streets, April and the turtles split up to track the mutant monkey. It's too fast for them to catch, but April discovers it hiding in a dumpster. She calmly coaxes it out, though Mikey quickly snares it with his chain weapon. While the turtles celebrate, April reveals her hunch. The monkey isn't just a mutant, it's Dr. Rockwell himself. They return him to the lab, where Falco sedates Rockwell and claims he'll look after him. Back in the lair, Splinter asks April how she knew Rockwell was the monkey. She admits it was just a strange feeling. Donnie then uncovers Rockwell's notes, which show he never worked with an actual monkey, only monkey DNA. The team realizes Rockwell mutated, meaning Falco lied all along. At the lab, Falco extracts psychic chemicals from Rockwell and injects himself, gaining telepathy. The turtles confront him, but he anticipates their every move, defeating Raph, Leo, and Mikey. Donnie recalls Splinter's advice to fight without thought. Clearing his mind, he finally defeats Falco, though the villain escapes. With Rockwell freed but unable to return to normal, Splinter senses April's rare sensitivity and offers to train her as a kunoichi. She accepts. Later, Donnie asks her out, but she's busy with training, so he suggests training together, leaving him thrilled and Raph rolling his eyes. Shredder grows furious with Chris Bradford and Xavier Montes, especially Bradford, for failing to find Splinter and eliminate the Turtles. Bradford complains that their enemies are unusual man-sized turtles trained in ninjutsu, but he still begs Shredder for another chance, not wanting to disgrace his master. Shredder, however, places Xavier in charge instead, trusting his sharp attention to detail. Xavier then explains that he has already spread word on the streets, using his purple dragon connections to watch for the turtles. He assures Shredder that once he finds them, he will rip them out of their shells and lay them at his master's feet. Meanwhile, April takes the turtles to a noodle restaurant she discovered. When she urges them to hurry, Donnie jokingly questions if she thinks turtles are slow, while Mikey takes offense at her comment. April tells them the chef Murakami won't mind their presence since he is blind. However, they find the purple dragons inside, smashing the shop and hurting Murakami. The turtles fight back, allowing April to get the chef to safety. Leonardo spares Fong with mercy, which angers Raph. Grateful, Murakami makes them pizza gyoza, explaining that the dragons constantly harass him for protection money, but he always refuses. Back at the lair, Raph mocks Leo for showing mercy, but Splinter corrects him, saying mercy shows true strength and compassion. He even demonstrates by striking Raph with his cane, leaving him stunned. Determined to stop the dragons, the group asks April to get information in Chinatown. Pretending to be an undercover cop, she learns of their hideout. The turtles follow Fong to the fortune cookie factory, but are forced to retreat when the Foot Clan arrives. Soon after, Murakami is kidnapped, and the turtles storm the factory to rescue him. After a fierce battle, Leo cleverly uses a water tower to wash away enemies and save Murakami. Murakami thanks them with pizza gyoza, and even Raph admits Leo was right about mercy. But in his lair, Shredder vows to deal with the turtles personally. April is walking through New York when she turns into an alley and suddenly sees something flying. Terrified, she runs into a bank just as a giant mutant pigeon crashes into the glass before flying away. Shocked, she mutters that her life has gotten really weird. Meanwhile, in the lair, Donatello proudly shows Leonardo and Raphael his new ninja smoke bombs made from eggshells. Michelangelo quickly tests them, darting around with excitement. Suddenly, April rushes in and explains about the mutant pigeon chasing her. The turtles plan to use her as bait to capture it, but Splinter warns they know nothing about their enemy and are acting too confident. Despite his disapproval, they rush out. At Shredder's lair, Chris Bradford tries to pet Shredder's Akita but is bitten. Shredder then scolds Bradford and Xavier for repeated failures, saying he trained them for years only to be let down. Ignoring their pleas, he declares he will deal with the turtles himself. Later, April walks the streets again, acting as bait. After arguing with Donnie, the pigeon finally appears, and the turtles capture him. The creature, Pigeon Pete, reveals April's father sent him with a warning to leave the city. April refuses without her dad, so Pete agrees to take them to the Krang's hideout, unaware that foot soldiers overhear everything. The turtles sneak into the Krang's base while April waits nervously on the roof. Donatello and Michelangelo try hacking the machines, and Leonardo and Raphael search for April's father. They discover that the Krang come from another dimension where mutagen works differently. Because of this, they are kidnapping scientists to help modify it. Soon, Donnie and Mikey rush in, revealing that the Krang plan to detonate a massive mutagen bomb that could cover half the city. Unfortunately, Mikey sets off the alarm, but Leo manages to free April's dad. As they try to escape, Krang droids block their path. April's father bravely grabs a blaster and holds them off, begging the turtles to protect April and save the city. Though heartbroken, April helps her friends flee, while Donnie promises they'll rescue her dad later. The turtles then confront the Krang at Wolf Hotel, where the bomb is set to explode in minutes. Donnie struggles to disarm it as Bradford and Xavier attack. Thanks to Mikey's quick call, Donnie cuts the right wire and disables the bomb, allowing the turtles to fight back. but Bradford bursts a mutagen tank, mutating both himself and Zever. Just when they think they've won, Shredder arrives. He defeats them one by one, leaving the turtles shaken. Back at the lair, Splinter warns that survival was only luck, and now war has truly begun. The turtles sneak through the city, either searching for Shredder or setting themselves up as bait. They laugh and chat, but their fun ends when Michelangelo is suddenly dragged away, leaving his nunchucks behind. Donatello glimpses Shredder's shadow and attacks, yet his staff is broken and he is quickly defeated. Leonardo charges forward while Raphael leaps from above, but Shredder dodges and pummels Raph with brutal punches before kicking him so hard he vanishes. Alone in the darkness, Leo is horrified and loses sight of his enemy. Distracted by Shredder's voice, he is caught from behind and nearly decapitated, until Splinter suddenly wakes up. It was only a nightmare, though one he takes seriously. Believing it a warning, Splinter pushes the turtles into weeks of intense training, only granting them a short break once they are exhausted. During the break, Leo watches Space Heroes, but Raph mocks him, blaming Spike. Mikey starts a prank war, hitting Raph with a water balloon, then Donnie. While Donnie builds a patrol buggy, Mikey teases him and declares Leo his next target. Meanwhile, April sneaks into the Purple Dragon's hideout disguised as a pizza boy and plants a bug. The turtles overhear talk of Shredder's plan to destroy their lair, forcing Splinter to let them investigate. Following the dragons, they face a mutated Chris Bradford, now called Dog Pound. Overpowered, they barely escape with a smoke bomb. Back home, they discuss leaving, but April insists on spying, reminding them they have no other choice. That night, April boldly heads to Shredder's hideout while the turtles watch from a nearby rooftop. Her pizza delivery trick fails, so she disguises herself as a fireman, sneaks into the next building, and climbs to the roof. From there, she overhears Shredder's plan and puts her phone on speaker for the turtles. They catch parts of it, including mention of a rare chemical, but start arguing and miss the rest. Soon after, Dog Pound leads his team out, hears April and Leo talking, and quickly kidnaps her. The turtles chase in Donnie's unfinished patrol buggy as Dog Pound targets a tanker carrying chlorosulfonic acid, which could destroy their lair if poured into the sewers. When the van with April and the tanker split up, the turtles divide. Raph and Donnie save April by disabling the van with smoke bombs and spikes, while Leo and Mikey pursue the tanker. They fight Dog Pound but fail to overpower him. During the struggle, Leo punctures the tanker, but he recalls Donnie's warning and tells Mikey to use his water balloon. Mikey obeys, hitting the tanker and causing it to explode. Back at Shredder's lair, Dog Pound is punished for failure, while in the sewer lair, Splinter apologizes for fueling their fear. During a routine training session, Leo and Raph start bickering again, this time over how they're pulling their moves. Splinter has had enough. He disables them with a quick strike to their necks and decides to redirect their energy. He pairs them against Donnie and Mikey in a sparring match. Fired up from being called weak, Donnie and Mikey jump in, but the fight ends almost instantly with their defeat. Elsewhere, Dog Pound kneels before Shredder, reporting that the Purple Dragons agreed to give up 80% of their cut. Shredder praises his mutant strength but reminds him of their true mission, finding Splinter. Dog Pound mocks Zever for his useless fish form, which Shredder echoes before ordering Dog Pound to bring him a lead or face punishment. Back in the lair, Leo and Raph continue mocking Donnie and Mikey, even nicknaming them the B-Team. April interrupts, revealing the Purple Dragons mugged her and stole her phone. Though Splinter warns it isn't worth the risk, the turtles head out anyway. They storm the dragon's hideout, quickly defeating Fong's crew, but a swarm of Mousers bursts through the floor mid-fight. In the chaos, Fong escapes with April's phone. Leo orders the B-Team after him while he and Raph follow the Mousers' trail, leading them to Baxter Stockman. Stockman gloats about using the robots to steal and eliminate enemies, then sprays the two turtles with a red mist that makes the Mousers hunt them. As more robots swarm, Leo and Raph retreat, while Stockman is suddenly knocked out and kidnapped by Soy and Sid. Mikey and Donnie trail Fong to Dog Pound, who is lifting weights inside an abandoned futon factory. Fong hands over April's phone, admitting it belongs to a friend of the turtles. Mikey immediately panics, saying they can't take on Dog Pound alone, but Donnie refuses to call Leo and Raph. Instead, he insists on using stealth to slip in and steal the phone without a fight. Meanwhile, Leo and Raph are still being hunted by endless mousers across the rooftops. No trick works, and washing off the spray is useless. Though both realize they should call their brothers, pride keeps them from asking for help, until exhaustion finally forces Leo to dial. Back at the factory, Donnie brainstorms clever plans while Mikey comes up with goofy nicknames. When Leo calls, they deny having problems, leaving him and Raph to struggle on their own. Soon after, Soy and Sid drag Stockman to Dog Pound, who nearly disposes of him. However, Stockman claims his mousers are already destroying two turtles. Realizing they share an enemy, Dog Pound spares him and orders him to hack April's phone. Donnie and Mikey cut the power to grab it, but Dog Pound catches and chains them. Just as Stockman nears success, Leo and Raph crash in, followed by the mousers. In the chaos, the turtles free each other, scatter the dragons, and barely recover April's phone. Donnie finally figures out how the mousers have been tracking Raph and Leo. The red spray is made of radioisotopes, which the mousers are programmed to detect through a sensor on their heads. Since the chemical can't be washed off and only fades over time, anyone freshly sprayed gives off a stronger signal. Realizing this, Raph quickly throws two shurikens at Stockman's spray can, causing it to burst and cover both Stockman and Dog Pound. Immediately, the mousers switch targets and rush at them instead. In the chaos, Dog Pound manages to grab April's ringing phone, but Donnie hurls a Tanto, knocking it from his hand and destroying it. Furious, Dog Pound escapes by smashing through a brick wall, dragging Stockman with him as the mousers chase close behind. With the battle over, Leo and Raph praise Donnie and Mikey, and Raph even softens by calling them the A- team. Back at the lair, the turtles relax. Mikey breakdances, Raph feeds Spike, and Leo and Donnie play pinball. Splinter, however, reminds them that poor choices only create their own crises. Later, the brothers present April with her ruined phone, but Donnie offers a custom-built T-phone as a replacement, only for Mikey to accidentally trigger its self-destruct in her hands. Meanwhile, Dog Pound drags Stockman back to Shredder. Though furious, Shredder spares his life, demanding his skills instead. A squad of Krong chase a huge creature with cables hanging from its limbs. Though badly hurt, it fights back fiercely and finally escapes into the sewers. Later, the turtles relax in their lair. Leonardo watches Space Heroes while Raphael teases him by calling the show terrible, but Leo denies it. Suddenly, the news reports that a sewer worker was attacked by a reptilian monster. Realizing they can't let such a creature draw attention to their home, the turtles decide to investigate. They soon find giant footprints and follow them, only to discover the mutant-fighting Krang droids. The Krang overpower him with electric batons and demand the location of a power cell. The mutant refuses, so they keep zapping him until he faints. Mikey insists on helping him despite his brother's hesitation. When the Krang are defeated, Mikey convinces them to bring the unconscious mutant back to the lair. There, the mutant suddenly attacks until Leo subdues him with Donnie's stun gun. Splinter praises Mikey's kindness and assigns him to befriend the creature, while the others search for the power cell. When the mutant wakes, Mikey calms him with homemade soup and names him Leatherhead. Meanwhile, the others discover the power cell, a glowing crystal able to power almost anything. The turtles hurry back to their lair with the power cell, but panic when they see Mikey has freed Leatherhead. Mikey insists that he's calm now, yet whenever the Krang are mentioned, Leatherhead's rage explodes. Mikey manages to soothe him, though he scolds Leo for repeating the word. When Donnie nervously shows the power cell, Leatherhead snaps again, calling him a thief and attacking the team. Despite Mikey's pleas, the mutant overpowers them and storms off with the cell. Splinter confronts Leatherhead, skillfully turning his strength against him and forces him to retreat. As the brothers recover, they realize Mikey has already gone after him. Meanwhile, Leatherhead hides in an abandoned subway car where jazz music keeps his anger at bay. Mikey demands answers, and the mutant reveals his tragic past. Once raised by a kind boy, he was discarded into the sewers, captured by the Krang, and tortured through experiments. He escaped only 6 months ago, stealing the power cell to stop the Krang from using their portal to invade Earth. Suddenly, the Krang track the cell and attack. Outnumbered, the Turtles struggle until Donnie powers the subway car with the cell, blasting them to safety. Meanwhile, Leatherhead defeats the remaining Krang and ensures they cannot report back. The Turtles chase Snakeweed through the city as he grabs a pizza delivery man and rushes into an alley. Leonardo suggests attacking from above with clotheslines, but Raphael argues that a head-on strike is better. Their bickering gives Snakeweed the chance to escape. Frustrated with Raph's attitude, Leo decides to let him take charge. Later, while sulking on a rooftop, Leo is ambushed by foot soldiers. He defeats them quickly, but then a masked warrior appears. She blinds him with powder, knocks him down, and holds a sword to his head. Introducing herself as Karai, she spares Leo and disappears. Back at the lair, Donnie tries to locate Snakeweed's hideout while Raph ignores Leo. Feeling unappreciated, Leo watches Space Heroes until Splinter finds him. Leo complains about the pressure of leadership and not receiving thanks, but Splinter reminds him that true leadership is about responsibility, not recognition. Later, Leo runs into Karai again, and after a playful yet tense fight, she invites him to meet her at midnight on a rooftop. Unsure, Leo seeks April's advice, but she warns him against trusting someone from the foot. Despite this, Leo goes. Meanwhile, Karai faces Shredder, who orders her to kill Leonardo next time, or suffer the consequences. Raph, Donnie, and Mikey follow the sewers to Snakeweed's lair, where they discover countless plant-like tubes spread across the area. Shockingly, Snakeweed has been using kidnapped people as fertilizer, trapping them in strange fluid. The Turtles free a few victims, but Snakeweed suddenly attacks. Raph panics, repeating, "Go for the head," while Mikey is knocked out. Donnie steps up, urging retreat. They grab Mikey and escape, unaware that Snakeweed secretly plants tracking pods on their shells. Back at the lair, Raph admits to Splinter that leadership is overwhelming, and he finally understands Leo's burden. Splinter advises him to find his brother. Donnie then shares that April texted Leo's location at the Byerly building. Meanwhile, Leo meets Karai on a rooftop. She tempts him to steal a legendary katana, claiming he deserves it. Leo refuses, insisting she has a good side, but Karai tricks him and flips him. At that moment, Raph arrives, yet Snakeweed ambushes them, following the pod. Pinned down, Leo begs Karai for help. She leaves but tosses him a tanto, which he uses to fight back. Together, Leo and Raph trap Snakeweed with antifreeze, shattering him, though his heart still beats. Back in the lair, Mikey wakes to pizza. Raph asks about the girl, and Leo secretly keeps Karai's tanto as a reminder. Victor Falco, desperate to recreate his psychic neurochemical, pushes his experiments to the limit. He appears to succeed, yet the very rats he has been testing on chew through some loose power lines above his lab, sparking a fire that engulfs the entire place. Severely injured but still alive, Falco discovers that the chemical has given him the power to telepathically control the rats, allowing him to survive. Meanwhile, the Turtles are in the lair, preparing for a free-for-all sparring session with Splinter. Although the brothers attack in unison, their master easily evades every strike. At last, only Leo is left standing, and he manages to land a hit across Splinter's face. However, his hesitation costs him, and Splinter defeats him once more, pointing out that Leo's doubt is his greatest weakness. The boys then boast that they may not need Splinter's training anymore, a comment that clearly unsettles him. Underground, Falco, now deformed and calling himself the Rat King, gathers millions of rats, planning to seize the city for them. Using his telepathy, he begins tormenting Splinter's mind, forcing him to relive past tragedies. At the same time, April calls Donnie for help as swarms of rats trap her atop a telephone pole. The Turtles save her, but soon realize that Splinter himself may already be in grave danger. Splinter suddenly snaps and attacks April just as she kindly brings him tea. Before he can strike the finishing blow, he is summoned to the Rat King's side. The turtles then locate the hideout and are horrified to see both the Rat King's ghostly new form and Splinter already under his control. Laughing manically, Rat King orders Splinter to destroy his sons. When Leo yells for him to stop, Splinter briefly hesitates, but Rat King reveals his grotesque face and chilling eyes, forcing him forward. Realizing what's coming, Leo reluctantly tells his brothers to fight their own master. They attack together but are quickly overpowered, which makes Donnie realize Splinter may have been holding back their entire lives. Raph, Mikey, and Donnie try again but fail, leaving Leo to duel him. Splinter disarms his eldest son with ease and prepares to kill him. Just as hope fades, Leo shows him a photo of his human life with his wife and daughter and calls him by his real name. Donnie and Raph pin Splinter down as Leo calls him father. Although Rat King urges him to resist, Splinter breaks free and defeats him. The brothers embrace their sensei before rats carry the villain away. Later, Splinter reminds Leo that while he has taught them everything they know, he has not taught them everything he knows. Karai and her foot soldiers leap across the city rooftops, staying alert since the turtles were spotted in the area before. Soon after, they hear noises from an alley and see the turtles battling Krang robots. Leo looks up and notices Karai watching. Trying to impress her, he smirks and defeats the remaining Krang with style. Raphael, however, notices both Karai and his brother's awkward behavior. He hints at it without saying her name, which leaves Mikey and Donnie confused about what the two are talking about. Meanwhile, at Foot Headquarters, Baxter Stockman finishes a special suit for Xever, allowing him to walk and fight on land, but the device malfunctions almost immediately, causing Xever to stumble uncontrollably, which Dog Pound finds hilarious. Shredder, on the other hand, grows impatient and threatens Stockman if he fails again. At that moment, Karai enters and reports that the turtles fought strange alien robots. She suggests investigating them, but Shredder dismisses the idea, reminding her of their true mission, revenge against Hamato Yoshi. Back in the lair, Raph confronts Leo about showing off for Karai. Leo denies it, but Raph doesn't believe him. Their argument turns physical until Splinter interrupts. Later, April tells Mikey and Donnie about her school project involving DNA samples for the Worldwide Genome Project. The next night, Leo waits on a rooftop for Karai, hoping to talk. When she arrives, she immediately asks about the Krong, but Leo refuses to share details and instead warns her to stay away. They begin to duel, and while fighting, Leo insists that she still has good in her and might want to escape the Foot Clan. Karai only mocks him, calling him adorable, which throws him off briefly. He warns her not to harm his brothers, and although she agrees, she secretly holds other motives. The following day at school, April meets Ms. Campbell, who oddly demands that she follow her for DNA test results. Suspicious of the woman's robotic voice, April tries to run, but Campbell attacks. Revealing herself as a robot, April hides and texts the turtles, who rush to her aid. They battle Campbell, cut off her face, and discover she is a Krang droid. Realizing the Krang may control the Worldwide Genome Project, they head to investigate while April retreats to safety. That night, the turtles infiltrate the genome building, unaware Karai is trailing them. Inside, they discover the Krang are collecting DNA for experiments. When Raph catches Karai, they fight, and Leo's attempt to stop them accidentally summons more Krang. As the turtles struggle, Karai recklessly fuses DNA samples, creating a mutant. She abandons them, proving Raph right. Heartbroken but determined, Leo defeats the monster, destroying the building in the process. Back at the lair, Leo finally opens up to his brothers, April and Splinter. With clear guilt, he admits that he had feelings for Karai and foolishly believed she could change sides and fight for good. Donnie and Mikey are shocked. April and Raph remind him they warned him all along, and Splinter listens quietly before speaking. Splinter tells Leo he is not the first to be blinded by a crush. Karai is a master of deception, and Leo must treat her as an enemy, not a friend. He warns his son not to let infatuation cloud his judgment again. Leo thanks him for the advice, but Splinter lightly strikes his foot with his cane as a reminder of discipline. As Leo leaves for bed, Raph approaches. He admits he's glad Leo finally came to his senses. Leo apologizes for not listening, and Raph accepts, even confessing that he understands why Leo was drawn to Karai. He believes Leo is over her now, but Leo's downcast expression hints otherwise. Meanwhile, at Shredder's lair, Karai barges in during Zeever's usual complaints and delivers the Krang exosuit to Stockman. At first, Shredder dismisses the tech, but when Stockman explains it mirrors his neural interface experiments, Shredder changes his mind. Placing his hands on Karai's shoulders, he praises her while she smirks darkly, proud of her victory. While the Krang struggle to find the missing power cell, Donnie secretly seals it inside a lead glass case. In the subway tunnels, he proudly reveals his latest invention to his brothers, a revamped subway car that once served as Leatherhead's hideout. Now upgraded with 4 stations, each turtle has a role to play. Mikey excitedly names it the Shell Raiser, and Leo agrees it's perfect. Donnie lets Leo drive since he's less likely to crash than Raph or Mikey. He also explains that the Krang's power cell powers the vehicle, but thanks to the lead case, it can't be tracked. Their joyride takes a sharp turn when they meet the Pulverizer, their very first fanboy turned wannabe superhero. Despite his flashy entrance, he proves useless in battle, forcing the turtles to bail him out against the purple dragons. Although they defeat most of the gang, Fong escapes with stolen tech. Raph bluntly tells Pulverizer to quit crime fighting, but the wannabe accidentally gets dragged into the lair. There, he reveals he spotted them months ago during their fight with Stockman. While snooping around, he notices Krang tech, confirming Stockman's link to the thefts. As Leo, Raph, and Mikey hunt for answers, Donnie reluctantly babysits him, eventually teaching him basic moves. But Splinter, unimpressed by the guest, warns Donnie he alone will bear responsibility. The turtles reach Stockman's hideout only to face Zeever Montes, now mutated and enhanced with Krang-built robotic legs. Mikey dubs him Fishface, but the joke doesn't last. Fishface takes him down with a single kick. Raph manages to pin him, but not before Zeever sinks his venomous jaws into his shoulder. With Raph feverish and hallucinating, Donnie works on an antidote while reluctantly letting Pulverizer drive the Shell Raiser. The rookie's driving nearly wrecks them, but they eventually crash straight into the building, scattering the purple dragons. The Shell Raiser's garbage cannon defeats Fishface, giving Donnie just enough time to save Raph. However, the jump earlier cracked the lead casing on the Krang power cell, allowing its energy signature to leak. Soon, Krang forces swarm them in vans and even a helicopter. The Shell Raiser crashes, forcing the turtles into open battle while Pulverizer stays behind. He tries to stop the Krang with one of Donnie's lessons but fails, forcing Donnie to choose between the cell or saving him. Donnie saves Pulverizer, letting the Krang escape. Though grateful, Pulverizer accepts Donnie's decision to stop training him. With the power source gone, the brothers are left pushing the Shell Raiser back to the lair, only to learn Donnie had left the parking brake on the whole time. The turtles chase 2 Krang droids in a helicopter with the patrol buggy, hoping to recover the stolen power cell. Donnie manages to track it using his T-phone, but during the chase the phone breaks, allowing the Krang to escape and return to their base, where they prepare to restore the cell to their dimensional portal. Realizing the stakes, Leo suggests consulting Leatherhead. Donnie objects, recalling past hostility, yet he agrees since the world's fate could depend on it. In the sewers, Mikey tries to gently wake Leatherhead, but the mutant alligator lashes out and grabs Donnie by the head before calming down and recognizing them as friends. Once they explain the situation, Leatherhead recalls a symbol linked to the Krang. Back in the lair, Donnie struggles to decipher it until Splinter advises him to breathe and focus. With clarity, Donnie realizes it matches the logo of the TCRI building in Brooklyn. April then brings the team blueprints, revealing the upper floors are unlisted. Disguised as a delivery worker, she sneaks inside with a large box, but the receptionist, Mrs. Campbell, exposes her. Surrounded by Krang droids, April blinds them with her camera and escapes. Believing the turtles are hidden in the box, the Krang attack, only for Leatherhead to burst out and battle them while the turtles climb the elevator shaft, before toxic gas knocks them unconscious. When the turtles wake up, they discover themselves trapped inside an oxygen-filled tank, surrounded by Krang and with the massive portal looming nearby. The outside air is full of toxic gas, which Donnie quickly identifies as the same atmosphere found in Dimension X. While the others wonder why the Krang would bother invading Earth if they can't breathe here, Mikey shocks them with the answer: the aliens plan to mutate the planet so they can thrive, even if it means wiping out all other life. Using Mikey's shell, the brothers manage to shatter the tank and escape, though they are forced to hold their breath while battling the Krang. They smash open another window to vent the gas, while Leatherhead charges in and creates a distraction. Hoping to retrieve the power cell unnoticed, the turtles attempt to breach the glass casing, but armored brain squids attack them with energy blasts. Suddenly, the portal activates and unleashes Trog, a colossal rock monster. The turtles cannot overpower him, but Leatherhead seizes Trog and hurls him into the portal. Believing he can stop the invasion, Leatherhead follows, vanishing into Dimension X. Back in the lair, Leo admits their mission failed, and Leatherhead is gone. Yet Donnie discovers shocking data. The Krang never wanted April's father at all. Their true target is April herself. The Turtles and the Foot Clan both stake out a dangerous device in the Krang's possession as they exit a warehouse. Donatello explains in a complicated manner that the subspatial endoparticle disruptor can implode almost anything, even imitating the sound it makes, which leaves his brothers staring at him in disbelief. Meanwhile, Baxter Stockman, Dog Pound, and Fishface watch from another rooftop. Baxter claims leadership, but Dog Pound and Fishface threaten to kill him if he dares to complain or assume command again, which makes Baxter quietly plot revenge. Soon, both the Foot and the Turtles leap into action at the same time while Baxter stays behind. Raphael clashes with Fishface and Dog Pound takes on the others. When Michelangelo nearly gets hit by the device, Donnie saves him, and the blast instead reduces a nearby car to nothing. Despite the intense fight, the Krang escape with the weapon, forcing both the Turtles and the Foot to retreat in frustration. Later, Splinter trains the brothers to sense an enemy's intent, and Leo is the only one to succeed. At Foot headquarters, Dog Pound blames Baxter for their failure, but Baxter promises to lure the Turtles into an inescapable trap, which Shredder approves. That night, the plan unfolds. The Turtles chase Dog Pound and Fishface, only to be caught in Baxter's Maze of Doom, where missiles rain down and betrayal begins. The group tumbles into a round chamber, and out of boredom, they start fighting each other yet again. But their bickering quickly stops when Leo notices laser pendulums sliding into place. One nearly slices Fishface, yet Raph instinctively pushes him out of harm's way, only to immediately regret his act of kindness. Soon after, Dog Pound finds what looks like an exit, and as they follow, another pendulum nearly takes him down. Leo reacts fast, throwing shuriken at its hinge so it only clips a few of Dog Pound's oversized spikes instead of skewering him. They push onward into another room where Dog Pound claims to smell an exit nearby, though before they can move further, metallic spheres with shredding lasers roll in. Leonardo dubs them Balls of Doom, and though the attack is intense, the uneasy team makes it through unharmed. However, Dog Pound soon realizes they have circled back to a familiar point. A towering wall then drops, splitting the group. Raph and Fishface in one half, and Leo, Donnie, Mikey, and Dog Pound in the other. Meanwhile, April trains with Splinter in the sewers. She demands a weapon, and though Splinter insists the mind is a Kunoichi's greatest tool, he lets her try several. After comical failures with a chain staff and spiked club, April finally tests a pair of Kama, only for Splinter to save her from nearly injuring herself. After a long pause, Raph asks Xever why he works with the Shredder. Shocked by Raph's respectful tone, Xever admits that it's all he's ever known. As a child, he followed one rule: if you want something, you take it. This turned him into one of the city's best thieves until he was caught. However, the briefcase he stole belonged to Shredder, who instead of punishing him, recognized his skills and offered him purpose. Since then, Xever has followed Shredder's orders, including the command to destroy Raph, his brothers, and Splinter. Raph realizes Xever obeys both out of loyalty and because he enjoys a fight. Meanwhile, Dog Pound helps destroy Baxter's laser traps and shouts his determination to find him. Raph and Xever hear him and quickly reunite when Xever kicks down the wall. Donnie locks onto Baxter's signal, but the floor collapses, dropping them into the lair of Baxter's giant monster. Forced to work together, the uneasy allies fight back, but Baxter manages to escape with a flying device. Back in the sewers, April finally discovers her weapon of choice, a Tessin gifted by Splinter. Meanwhile, the exhausted truce ends with both sides too tired to continue. As Fishface departs with a wicked grin, Raph reminds him that next time, he'll see him coming. The Turtles keep watch over the TCRI building, waiting for a ship to arrive through the portal, based on Donnie's calculations. Suddenly, Karai appears and playfully fights them. She tries to push Leo for details about the Krang's plans, but he refuses, still bitter about her betrayal in the alien agenda. Unfortunately, Raph accidentally reveals the scheme, and right on cue, a massive Krang ship bursts out of the building. It immediately spots them and fires heavy lasers. Karai slips away into an alley while the Turtles barely manage to escape into the sewers. The ship then vanishes, turning invisible. At Foot HQ, Karai warns Shredder of the threat. However, he refuses to change plans, insisting on focusing on his vendetta against Splinter. Though Karai tries to reason with him, he silences her, forcing her to obey. Back in the lair, Donnie proposes installing radar beacons around the city to track the invisible ship. While setting one up, Leo runs into Karai again. She offers an alliance against the Krang, arguing they're more dangerous than Shredder, but Leo rejects her, still hurt by her past betrayal. Later, Leo seeks advice from Splinter, who warns him to trust his instincts but stay cautious. Meanwhile, Donnie jokes about needing a kunoichi, sparking a playful argument with April. That night, while tracking the Krang scouting ship in the Shell Razor, the Turtles end up trapped in an alley thanks to Mikey's bad directions. Their vehicle takes heavy fire, but Karai suddenly arrives on a motorcycle, leaps onto the ship, and hacks at it with her katana. The attack barely dents it, and the craft speeds away with her still on top. Donnie warns the Shell Razor can't survive another hit, so Leo grabs the stealth bike, races after the ship, and rescues Karai at the last second before she falls. He shields the bike and manages to outpace the massive warship. Leo guides her through the subway and into the Shell Razor, where she makes her case. Karai offers them a missile launcher from Shredder's upcoming shipment, admitting it's the only weapon strong enough to down the Krang ship. The Turtles are wary, and Leo warns she's risking Shredder's wrath, but she insists someone has to stand against the aliens even if it costs her. After hesitation, Leo agrees to a temporary truce. Back in the lair, Mikey daydreams about the rocket launcher, while Raph pushes Leo to strike Shredder during the exchange. Leo reluctantly agrees, though unease clouds his face. At the docks, Shredder, Karai, and the Foot meet a scarred Russian arms dealer with a diamond eye, trading payment for the deadly cargo. The Turtles secretly watch Shredder's deal at the docks, planning to use an electro grenade against him. Karai heads to the armory to grab the rocket launcher, but she notices Mikey about to fire. Acting quickly, she pushes Shredder aside, and the blast hits foot soldiers and the supplier instead. She then fires a missile at the Turtles, forcing them to dodge. Soon, they're trapped between Shredder and a newly arrived Krang ship. The brothers run through shipping containers, but Shredder corners them, demanding Splinter's location. He threatens that they must watch their master perish, yet he's briefly trapped in a cargo box by Leo. Shredder, however, slices his way free, blocking their path again. Leo reaches the missile launchers but is confronted by an enraged Karai. She accuses him of betrayal, reveals that Shredder is her father, and declares their truce over, vowing they are now mortal enemies. While Raph, Donnie, and Mikey hold off Shredder, Leo takes a launcher and fires at the Krang ship, causing it to crash into the sea, dragging Shredder down with it. Karai leaps in to save him. The Turtles escape and reflect on Karai's true loyalty. Leo struggles with the betrayal, while Mikey lightens the mood with a silly comment about leprechauns. Meanwhile, Karai rescues Shredder, who revives and reveals he has captured a Krang, calling it her new pet. At Foot headquarters, Shredder is torturing a captured Krang, trying to learn why they were after the Turtles. Out of its exosuit, the alien only squeals, but once placed back inside, it refuses to speak. When threatened with Shredder's gauntlet blade, it finally reveals that April O'Neil is the missing link in the Krang's plan, and the Turtles are protecting her. Realizing her importance, Shredder orders Karai to capture April, hoping to use her as bait to draw the Turtles out. Meanwhile, in the sewers, the Turtles and April are training under Splinter's guidance. April practices her moves while Leo and Donnie duel, and Raph wrestles with Mikey. Mikey briefly wins, but Raph quickly traps him again. Splinter steps in to demonstrate, telling Raph to grab him as he did Mikey. Instead of yielding, Splinter licks Raph's face, forcing him to let go in disgust, and then defeats him. He calmly suggests that Raph should consider a bath. Later, While the brothers watch Space Heroes, Donnie shares alarming news. Using decrypted Krang data, he discovered they placed mutagen in New York's water supply. When Mikey accidentally spills purified Krang water on April's arm, nothing happens, puzzling Donnie. Soon after, he reveals his plan. The Turtles must use his pedal-powered submarine to destroy the Krang's underwater base. As the Turtles approach the Krang's underwater base, they run into a giant monster that Donnie suspects comes from Dimension X. Luckily, they outsmart it and sneak into the base undetected. Leo reminds them they have bigger problems to deal with, and Mikey lightens the mood with a fish joke. Meanwhile, April meets Karai on the surface without realizing who she really is. Karai helps her use a food machine and then joins her at Murakami's noodle shop. They bond for a while, but Karai, using the alias Harmony, eventually reveals her identity by offering April turtle soup. April tries to escape, yet Karai pulls her back. Thanks to Murakami's distraction, April flees on a stolen delivery bike, while Karai gives chase on a motorcycle. Inside the base, the Turtles fight a wave of Krang. April calls Donnie for help and he panics, but Leo and Raph insist they must first destroy the mutagen tanks. Don rigs a gun to blow up the base, but the sea monster attacks again. Mikey knocks it away, and the Turtles escape just before the explosion. The beast survives and mistakes their sub for a mate, but Leo releases depth charges to scare it off. Back in the city, Karai corners April and easily overpowers her, leaving her battered and struggling. April collapses from Karai's relentless blows, but forces herself back up despite her weakness. Karai hoists her onto her knee, lands a crushing punch to the gut, and sends her crashing onto the sidewalk with another kick. Demanding answers, Karai asks why April is so important to everyone. April pushes back with words of her own, and when she reveals that she lost her mother, Karai hesitates, likely reminded of her own mother's death. Seizing the moment, April recalls Splinter's earlier lesson. With one last surge of strength, she grabs Karai by the collar, flips her over, and sends her tumbling down subway stairs. April escapes on a motorcycle, muttering to herself, "Not bad for a nobody." Karai rises again, but looks upward with a faint, guilt-ridden expression. Later, April calls Donnie, who bursts with relief, calling her his sweet princess, much to his brother's annoyance. Back at the lair, April recounts her first real victory against Karai. The Turtles are impressed, and Splinter praises her training but warns that, with both the Krang and Foot after her, she should remain in the sewers for safety. April protests, saddened about losing her normal life, but Leo reassures her that once their enemies are defeated and her father is freed, things will return to normal. Strengthened by his words, April grows determined to fight for her future. The Turtles are battling the Foot on a random rooftop. They win easily. Almost too easily, and Raph begins mocking their enemies as if they're nothing more than toys. The brothers agree that the Foot have been slipping in skill lately. Meanwhile, at Shredder's lair, frustration boils over. Shredder chases Dog Pound around, furious that he failed to bring in a stronger group of elite foot soldiers from his dojos as promised. Turning his rage elsewhere, Shredder looks to the captured Krang and decides to copy their methods, planning to upgrade his army with overdue enhancements. Later that night, while staking out TCRI, Raph complains that they've run out of butts to kick. Just as Leo suggests heading home, they spot a clumsy, chubby foot ninja trying to sneak into a building. Surrounding him, the Turtles discover it's none other than the Pulverizer. To their shock, he joined the Foot after training at Chris Bradford's dojo, inspired by Donnie's earlier advice to practice. He proudly claims the rank of Ashogaru Sha, which Donnie explains means disposable cannon fodder. Pulverizer insists he's fighting the Krang alongside the Foot, which baffles the team. Once they clarify the Foot are villains, he decides to go undercover as their spy, despite Donnie's worries about his safety. Back in the lair, Splinter scolds his sons for becoming complacent and relying too much on their weapons. As punishment, he forces them to swap, Mikey with katanas, Raph with nunchucks, Leo with the bow staff, and Donnie with Sez. Ordered to spar, the brothers fumble miserably, losing before the fight even begins. The Turtles soon get a text from Pulverizer warning them about the Foot's next strike. They rush to his location, but it turns out to be a trap. Dozens of Foot Ninja, led by Dog Pound and Fishface, ambush them. Because of Splinter's weapon switch, the Turtles struggle and are badly beaten. Forced to switch back to their original weapons, they quickly regain the upper hand and crush the foot soldiers. During the fight, they notice the Foot stealing mutagen canisters from a warehouse. Pulverizer then reveals that Shredder plans to use the mutagen to build his own mutant army. Back at the lair, everyone celebrates their victory except Donnie, who remains worried about Pulverizer. Splinter, however, is furious that they ignored his training and orders them to fight without weapons from now on. Meanwhile, Shredder instructs Dog Pound to lead a convoy to a warehouse. The Krang warn that the mutagen is unstable, but Shredder presses on with fail-safe measures. Pulverizer calls Donnie, revealing he volunteered to mutate, believing it would make him a hero like the Turtles. Horrified, Donnie and the team race to save him. On the way, they clash with Foot ninjas on dragon cycles. Fishface damages the Shellraiser, forcing Donnie to take the stealth bike alone, while the others continue on foot. The Foot Clan prepares Pulverizer for mutation, while he eagerly repeats his dream of becoming a mutant hero. Suddenly, Donnie crashes into the building, unarmed but ready to fight. Dog Pound orders the Foot Ninja to attack, yet Donnie quickly grabs a broom and uses it skillfully to defend himself. As he struggles to protect Pulverizer from the mutagen and fight off enemies, he narrowly dodges Dog Pound's strikes and even manages to outmatch Fishface. Just then, the rest of the Turtles crash in through the roof, helping Donnie defeat the swarm of foot soldiers. However, in the chaos, Pulverizer pulls the lever himself, causing the mutagen to pour out. He mutates painfully into a massive, transparent blob with only his human organs floating inside. His transformation leaves him savage and unstable. With the mutagen supply drained, Dog Pound triggers the failsafe, explosives hidden around the warehouse. As the bombs detonate, the Turtles escape with Timothy safely contained. Meanwhile, Shredder rages over another failure. The captured Krang insists the Turtles must be destroyed, leading Shredder to finally acknowledge their shared enemy and hint at a dangerous new alliance. In the lair, Donatello and Raphael spar, while April, Leonardo, and Michelangelo watch. Raph, in a rare good mood, promises to go easy, but Donnie refuses, hoping to impress April. The match begins, and Donnie quickly lands strikes on Raph's knees, pinning him down. However, when Donnie lets his guard down, Raph tackles him, uses his sai to control Donnie like a puppet, and wins, leaving Donnie embarrassed in front of April. Soon after, April receives a strange, encrypted message filled with muffled sounds. While the others are curious, Donnie deciphers it, discovering it's from April's father, who is trapped in a Krang facility and needs help. Determined to prove himself and impress April, Donnie sneaks out alone after locating the lab. When the others wake, they realize Donnie is gone. Mikey accidentally gives away where he went, and with April overhearing, the three Turtles rush after him. Meanwhile, Splinter tries to calm April by teaching her focus, though she begins to sense something unusual nearby. At the Krang lab, Donnie breaks in, fights several droids, and rescues Kirby. However, unlocking the cells also frees a monstrous captive. This creature, later called the Neutralizer, reclaims his armor and destroys Krang droids, proving to be a powerful new threat. Meanwhile, April keeps chasing the strange sound she heard earlier until it leads her to a hidden room. Inside, she finds a white orb-like device that the Krang use for communication. Accidentally activating it, she draws two Krang to the room, but she manages to hide while they fail to locate the device. At the same time, the other three Turtles track Donnie to the lab, only to face the Neutralizer, who unleashes a storm of missiles with his advanced weapons. The battle quickly turns chaotic as both the Krang and the Neutralizer shift focus to the Turtles. However, the Neutralizer proves far tougher than expected, forcing Donnie to use Raph's sai to access a control panel that drags them all to the upper level. After a brutal showdown, Mikey desperately rams a car into the Neutralizer, earning cheers from his brothers, though the monster later emerges unscathed. Back at the lair, April studies the orb while Splinter wonders how she could hear what he couldn't. The Turtles soon return with Kirby, giving April joy and Donnie a hug that knocks him over. Yet at TCRI, Shredder and the Krang reveal this was part of a larger plan. While Kirby's hidden, sinister look hints that April's happiness may be short-lived. Inside the TCRI building, the Krang receive a message from their glorious leader, Krang Prime, announcing that the invasion of Earth begins now. The aliens commence a ritual, marching and chanting, before activating their ultimate weapon of destruction, the Technodrome. Meanwhile, back at the lair, the stolen communication orb alerts Donnie that something massive is underway. He and April decode the Krang language and are stunned by what they uncover. Leo, Raph, and Mikey are watching the final episode of Space Heroes when Donnie interrupts them, revealing the terrifying truth. The Krang plan to terraform Earth using the Technodrome. Donnie warns that if the machine passes through the dimensional portal, it could mean the end of the world. The Turtles hesitate, but Splinter reassures them that if the fate of the planet rests in anyone's hands, he's grateful it's theirs. Before Leo joins his brothers, Splinter reminds him that in a mission of this magnitude, the only thing that matters is completion, no matter the sacrifice. Nearby, Kirby is shown with a Krang device implanted in the back of his neck. The Turtles prepare meticulously. Leo and Donnie finalize strategies, Donnie constructs new tech, and Raph arms himself to the teeth. Boarding the Shellraiser, they set out on their ultimate mission. April questions Splinter about why he never joins them, but he insists his role is to prepare them, not fight alongside them. Frustrated, she storms off with Kirby through the sewers to warn the Turtles in person. However, 2 Foot Clan ninjas ambush them, restraining April. Karai then appears, greeting April before ordering a brainwashed Kirby to deliver a message back to Splinter. Ignoring April's desperate cries, he obeys, leaving her trapped and helpless. At TCRI, the Shellraiser crashes into the building, immediately fired on by Krang droids led by Ms. Campbell. She calls a ceasefire as Metalhead leaps out, cutting down the Krang. Meanwhile, the Turtles glide above the city on their new turtle gliders, landing on the roof and infiltrating the building using pigeons to cover a camera. Splinter senses danger as Kirby delivers a message from Master Shredder. The Mousers project a hologram of Shredder, who declares he has captured April and demands Splinter come face him if he values her life. Overwhelmed, Splinter falls to his knees. At TCRI, the Turtles reach the portal, guarded by Trog. Leo fires the Omni disintegrator, but the portal remains protected by an invisible force field. Donnie hacks a system while Leo blasts Trog's limbs. At the Foot headquarters, April is chained, guarded by Dogpound and Fishface. Splinter, disguised, approaches, explaining that he and Shredder once trained together. Inside, he quickly overpowers Dogpound and fights Fishface. After dodging combined attacks, he throws Fishface into the wall and water tanks. Rushing to free April, Splinter finds only a hologram projected by a lone Mouser, which he destroys with precise shuriken. Shredder bursts into laughter as the room lights up around him. He reveals that knowing Splinter would come, he had already handed April over to the Krang. Suddenly, Shredder appears in person and strikes Splinter from behind, vowing to end him once and for all. Splinter rises, pulling back his hood to reveal his face, which shocks Shredder at first. Yet Shredder quickly recovers, mocking Splinter for falling into his trap and comparing him to his reckless students. Furious at how carelessly April was treated, Splinter prepares to fight. Meanwhile, Donnie finally lowers the force field at TCRI, but the portal activates instantly. From it emerges the massive Technodrome, an indestructible warship. Leo fires the Omni disintegrator again, but the weapon dies, crumbling to ash. As Krang forces close in, Leo spots the nearby power cell. Donnie warns that rupturing it will blow up the entire building. Leo bravely fights his way through and drives his blade into the crystal. The explosion tears through TCRI as Leo leaps out the window. He plummets towards certain death, but Raph swoops in with his glider and saves him. However, their relief is cut short as the Technodrome fully emerges from the portal. While the Technodrome floats over the city, unleashing chaos and terrifying thousands, Splinter confronts Shredder in his inner sanctum. He recalls their past, remembering a life filled with family and love, now lost to Shredder's envy. Flashbacks show Shredder walking away from a traumatized Splinter as part of the Hamato Dojo burns. In the present, Splinter vows to end their pointless feud. Initially confident, he loses his balance atop a post, allowing Shredder to vanish and waste his ammunition by feigning presence elsewhere. Orange lights flash, forcing Splinter to sprint briefly, but Shredder intercepts him. Meanwhile, the Turtles struggle to evade the Technodrome's weapons on their gliders, getting separated by blasts. They regroup on rooftops and decide to consult Splinter. At the lair, they find only brainwashed Kirby, who attacks Mikey. After subduing him, they spot the mind control device and free him. Kirby explains that Shredder has allied with the Krang, Splinter is presumably facing him, and April has been captured. On board the massive warship, April awakens bound to a metal table. Krang Prime looms over her, explaining that her unique mental energy can transform Earth into a Krang world. April protests that humans already occupy it, but a swarm of electrodes converges on her and everything goes black. The Shredder and Splinter continue their fierce duel, evenly matched. Shredder falsely claims Splinter stole Tang Shen from him, but Splinter counters that she was never his. Splinter tries to ensnare Shredder with a rope, wrapping it around him, but Shredder breaks free. Splinter warns that all Shredder has is his hatred, yet Shredder boasts that he took something from Hamato as retaliation, his daughter Miwa, whom he raised as Karai. A flashback reveals Oroku kidnapped her the night Tang Shen died, leaving Splinter devastated and vulnerable. Shredder lands crushing blows and mocks Splinter, saying Karai will curse him for life. Splinter, enraged, dodges a fatal strike, catches the gauntlet in his teeth, weakens it with inner force, and flips backward, striking Shredder squarely. Meanwhile, the Turtles smuggle themselves aboard a Krang capture pod and enter the Technodrome. They detect anti-gravitons and hear April screaming. Dozens of floating Krang attack them. Inside Krang Prime's chamber, April is fitted with a helmet siphoning her cerebral energy to mutate Earth. The Turtles battle through the Krang, Raph kicks Krang Prime, and Donnie frees April, shutting down the mutation ray. As they attempt to escape, Krang Prime emerges in a massive robotic body, pursuing the heroes relentlessly. At the Foot headquarters, Splinter finally gains the upper hand against Shredder, combining traditional ninjutsu with his rat-like agility. A final strike sends Shredder flying, revealing his scarred, burned face. Splinter grabs a katana to finish him, but Karai intervenes, grazing his shoulder and rushing to aid her false father. Splinter addresses her as Miwa, confusing her and triggering a recollection of Shredder's lies that Splinter killed her mother. Karai becomes more malevolent, and Shredder laughs at Splinter's emotional turmoil. Heartbroken, Splinter retreats, called a coward by Karai. Meanwhile, aboard the Technodrome, the Turtles scramble to escape. Mikey nearly falls down a narrow aperture, while Krang Prime fires energy blasts. Leo slices the cannon off and rescues him, then uses Mikey's Kusarigama chain to trap Krang Prime, buying time for his brothers to flee in escape pods. The Technodrome crashes into the Atlantic, though Leo survives. The Turtles reunite with April and the rescued captives, celebrating their victory. Back at the lair, the Turtles continue their celebration while Splinter quietly reflects on his family photo. April apologizes for earlier words, and Splinter assures her they were heartfelt. The season ends with the Technodrome lighting up at the ocean's depths, hinting at its inevitable return. The Turtles race through the city, celebrating their victory over the Krang. Donnie reminds them to check on April, and they tap on her window. She greets them cautiously, explaining her father has nightmares about the Krang still being active. Kirby O'Neill warns that the aliens may still be lurking, but April assures him she can handle herself with her ninja friends. Michelangelo jokingly adds that the Krang are gone for good. At Shredder's lair, he dons his helmet as Karai walks near his throne. A Krang appears on a projection screen, reporting that a special weapon is ready, revealing a massive ape-like foot. Later, the Turtles play with the communication orb. Donnie tests mutated Timothy's organs. When the orb is thrown onto Metalhead's head, Donnie warns them to be careful. Splinter enters, reminding them their enemies may not be defeated. Leonardo downplays it, but Splinter orders more training. Suddenly, the orb signals danger. The Krang have returned. Donnie analyzes it and discovers another ship carrying a dangerous shipment. He enlists April to help her father detect radiation. Using the T-phone, she confirms her position. Mr. O'Neill soon spots the ship's high radiation and freezes in shock, realizing the threat is real. The Turtles prepare the T-rocket, blasting through the subway at high speed before soaring into the night sky. As they fall, they open their turtle gliders and quickly find the Krang ship when they crash into something invisible. Once inside, they face the Krang again, feeling confident from their earlier victory. However, their confidence fades when a new biodroid, powered by a Krang brain, is released. The robot proves extremely tough, and during the fight, Mikey narrowly avoids an attack that instead triggers a button, releasing a huge shipment of mutagen. While April watches nervously, Mikey accidentally opens the ship's bottom hatch, sending the containers rolling out. The turtles panic as countless canisters fall toward the city. One even heads straight for April, but Kirby O'Neil pushes her aside, taking the hit himself. To everyone's shock, he mutates into a monstrous bat and flies into the night. Horrified, April tries to defend herself but quickly realizes her father is lost in mutation. Meanwhile, Donnie steers the Krang ship into the moon and destroys the biodroid. The brothers escape with their gliders and rush to April, only to find her being taken away by the bat. Realizing the mutant is her father, the turtles must decide between rescuing April or recovering the scattered mutagen. In the lair, Donnie grows increasingly anxious while Mikey jokes about April turning undead, earning Donnie's scowl. Leonardo asks Splinter for advice on catching a stray animal, and the sensei recommends using food. Raph covers for Leo, claiming they're just talking about parrots. Splinter leaves, and the turtles quickly deduce that bats eat rodents and insects. They dress Mikey as a bug, dubbing him Turflytle, to lure Kirby. April wakes on a high ledge, confused. Mutated Kirby swoops at her, offering dead rodents and garbage as food. She refuses and commands him to find something real, buying time. The turtles maneuver Mikey to mimic insect flight, drawing Kirby toward a warehouse. Leo tackles the bat. Inside the warehouse, they trap Kirby in a cage. April worries for her father and blames herself, but Mikey reassures her. Donnie swears, by Darwin's beard, he'll cure Kirby, yet the bat escapes. April furiously lashes out at Donnie, demanding space, leaving him hurt. Elsewhere, Shredder learns the Krang lost their mutagen shipment and vows to expand his army alone. Splinter urges the turtles to search the city for stray mutagen canisters. In the final shot, a squirrel drinks leaking mutagen, its eye turning white as dramatic music plays. The turtles continue searching alleyways for mutagen canisters. Donnie grows anxious, but Raph tells him to relax, assuring that April will return. Donnie agrees and keeps scanning, while Mikey finds a plush iguana in the trash. Donnie's gadget suddenly detects a canister on a tall roof. Raph mocks the device, but Leo insists they follow every lead. They climb the building and retrieve it. Donnie notes 63 more containers remain. Unseen, Karai spies on them, plotting how fun it would be to take them down again. Hours pass with little success, and Mikey complains, yawning loudly. Leo suggests training to spice things up and points to a Japanese-style building for a King of the Mountain game. He guards his territory on the wires as Raphael plots mischief. Mikey dances with earbuds on, tilting the wires, flips, and reaches the other side. Leo protests unfairness, and Donnie calculates precise shuriken throws, blocking them with his sword. Using Leo's brief distraction, Donnie and Mikey cross safely. Raph then throws his twin weapons, kicking Leo off the wires. Leo fumes over their disrespect and worries about his leadership. Later, he confides in Splinter, who reminds him that self-confidence is key for his brothers to truly respect him. Karai stands in a dilapidated dojo, staring sadly at a picture of her deceased mother. Suddenly, a squad of foot ninjas attacks. She holds her ground, but one evades her strikes, grabbing her wrist and pinning her. The Shredder intervenes, ordering the robots to stop. He reveals the ninjas were mechanical, designed by the Krang, and warns Karai that he is leaving for Japan. Any sudden moves against the turtles will have severe consequences. Meanwhile, in the Shellraiser, Raph drives while Mikey reads a comic. Mikey offers it to Leo to appease him, but Leo refuses, insisting his brothers follow orders better. Donnie detects a nearby mutagen canister in a basement. The turtles descend quietly, but Mikey finds it first, picking it up and triggering the doors to slam shut. Karai suddenly appears, surrounding them with robotic foot soldiers. Donnie notes her skill at ambushes, while Raph underestimates the threat. The turtles fight, but the robots overpower them. Leo orders a retreat, though Raph resists briefly before being defeated. They climb elevator ropes, fending off robots, but as they reach a higher floor, the robots overwhelm Leo. The wires snap, and he falls, seemingly captured, leaving his brothers in shock. Back at the lair, Donnie, Raph, and Mikey worry over Leo's capture. Splinter explains that Karai falsely believes he harmed her mother and urges them to rescue their brother. Donnie hacks security footage, spotting Karai's van heading into the Bradford dojo. Raph reminds the others to emulate Leo's fighting style for the rescue. Inside the dojo, Leo is held in a cage as Karai debates selling him to a lab, praising her robot's deadly precision. She releases him and tosses his katanas, forcing Leo to fight dozens of robotic ninjas. Despite his skill, he is quickly restrained as bait for his brothers. The others arrive using pigeons to disable security cameras and infiltrate the dojo. They free Leo, but more robots ambush them. Karai attacks with ferocity, knocking Leo's swords away. He nearly falls off the building, but uses his katanas to flip, surprise her, and regain the upper hand. Holding a sword to her head, he insists Shredder lied and Splinter never harmed her mother. Karai stares blankly, leaving her grudge unresolved. Back at the lair, Leo privately asks Splinter if he harmed Karai's mother. Splinter replies simply, "No," before revealing 4 words that change everything. Karai is my daughter. The Turtles race through New York in the Shellraiser, hunting every mutagen canister spilled during the mutation situation. Michelangelo reads a scary comic, prompting Raphael to warn him about nightmares. Suddenly, Donatello's mutagen tracker buzzes. They follow it to an abandoned theater, where a homeless man is being attacked by a mutant squirrel with a repulsive tongue. Before they can react, the squirrel scurries into the man's mouth, making him gag and faint. Leo and Donnie insist it's their responsibility. They place the man on a table in Donnie's lab. Mikey compares the scene to a comic, but Raph scolds him. The man mumbles incoherently until Mikey realizes he saw the squirrel mutate. Moments later, he vomits. 2 mutant squirrels tumble out. The man panics and runs, with Raph chasing him out. The Turtles try to catch the squirrels, which dart through the lair, one into Mikey's room, the other into Splinter's dojo. Leo and Donnie sneak in but fail, while Mikey and Raph lure the other with old pizza. Leo jumps from Donnie's shoulders into a tree, finally grabbing the squirrel. Its hiss awakens Splinter, who snarls, then traps the mutant under a basket after realizing it's dangerous. Mikey lounges on his bed in his tighty-whities, eating pizza as if nothing happened. Raph freezes when they hear the little squirrel rustling in one of Mikey's action figure shelves. He lunges for it but misses, and the rodent darts straight into Raph's mouth, making him gag as Mikey screams in panic. Donnie lays Raph on a table, calming him while he panics, claiming he can feel the squirrel squirming inside. Mikey references a comic where an alien reproduces in a stomach, which Donnie protests as probably 98% accurate. To scare Raph further, Mikey grabs a chainsaw, but only cuts the locks, making them all laugh. Raph gags again, vomiting 2 glowing squirrels. Suddenly, the electricity cuts out, leaving them trapped in darkness. Splinter rushes in, and the glowing mutants escape. The Turtles split up to search the lair. Mikey bumps into Raph, and they hear a sound identical to one from his comic. Looking up, they see the squirrels have mutated further. Squirrelinoids! Chaos erupts. One attacks Donnie, another Leonardo, while Mikey and Raph run. Splinter leaps in, striking the mutants with expert ninjutsu. The squirrelinoids flee into the sewer. Donnie uses Metalhead to track them, stressing brains over bravery. Mikey cites his comic again as one squirrelinoid attacks Metalhead, breaking its head. Donnie vows to fix it, while Splinter confirms his son was right. With Metalhead destroyed, the Turtles are forced to track the squirrelinoids themselves. Raph asks what they'll do if they encounter them. Mikey quips, "They'll find us." Leonardo splits them into teams, Donnie with Leo, Mikey with Raph. Raph questions how the sole survivor in Mikey's comic defeated the aliens, only to regret it when Mikey grimly notes everyone else perished. A squirrelinoid screeches nearby. Donnie's radar picks it up, and the mutant attacks. Leo orders a retreat, and the 2 teams collide. They manage a few hits, but the squirrelinoids surround them. Mikey begins explaining the survivors' strategy, baiting the aliens, but panics and flees. Mikey's plan works. Holding a bag of popcorn, he distracts the squirrelinoids long enough to lure them into the sewer. Turning a wheel, he flushes them toward the septic system, whispering triumphantly, "Booyakasha!" Not so fast. One mutant's ropey tongue grabs Mikey's leg, dragging him underwater. He begins to sink, but Raphael catches his hand and severs the tongue. The brothers pull Mikey to safety just as another squirrelinoid lunges. Raph takes it out with shurikens. Finally, Mikey is safe. Back at the lair, Raph credits Mikey's comic-inspired baiting strategy for their success. Donnie is disappointed he didn't think of it. Mikey shrugs. Not everyone can be the brains. Splinter warns that one enemy might have escaped, but Raph reassures him. Mikey ominously mentions sequels to his comic, foreshadowing future trouble. Mikey lounges on a rooftop watching old Super Robo Mecha Force 5 tapes he found in a dumpster. At first, the brothers complain about the sloppy plot, but soon they're all drawn in. Donnie leaves mid-episode, bothered by a scene where a boy is rejected by a girl. In his lab, he mutters about April while trying to reverse engineer an antidote from the mutagen. The experiment fails, freezing the beaker, but Timothy's tongue sneaks in and slurps up the remaining mutagen. At Roosevelt High, April resolves to move on from her father's mutation and the Turtles. That ends abruptly when a stray hockey puck knocks her down, bringing her face-to-face with Casey Jones. Reluctantly, she agrees to tutor him in trigonometry despite disliking him. Later, Mikey finds a lone pizza slice on a rooftop. He eats it, only to be tackled by his brothers practicing stealth. Meanwhile, Donnie spots April and Casey at the park, growing jealous as Casey wipes a smudge from her face. Attempting to get closer, Donnie falls into a dumpster. Back at the lair, Splinter teaches Donnie to enjoy falling, explaining he cannot force April to like him. Unnoticed, Timothy drinks the remaining mutagen, growing into a giant mutant as he searches for April. On the streets, terrified bystanders, including police, flee from the massive creature, unaware of the chaos about to unfold. The Turtles split into two teams, searching for Timothy. One heads to the park, the other to April's apartment, but both miss her, as she's already on her way home with Casey. Timothy finds April, and Casey tries to stop him with a lead pipe, which melts instantly. He's knocked down, leaving April to fend for herself briefly. Casey rescues her on his bike, crashing Timothy into a truck. Two turtles confront Timothy, and just as he nearly strikes Raph, Leo intervenes, cutting off one of Timothy's hands. Donnie stops Leo, explaining that Timothy doesn't want to fight. They only want April as a friend. Timothy powers down, and the turtles get him into the shell raiser since his mutagen is depleted. On the way back, Timothy drinks more mutagen and bursts out, heading for April's apartment. The turtles prepare to stop him. Leo orders them to contain him in an alley while Casey is distracted. April deduces the turtles were involved in the chaos and keeps Casey from interfering. Donnie uses camouflage and misdirection and then gives Timothy a canister of the freezing solution, finally immobilizing him. Back at the lair, the turtles watch another SRMFF episode. Donnie mourns Timothy and April, but Splinter reassures him that hope remains for reconciliation, giving him renewed faith that things can improve. Leo, Donnie, and Raph struggle to make breakfast, wondering where Mikey is. He's still in bed feeling sick and panics when he sees his face covered in zits. Donnie scans him and warns that the zits could spread until he becomes a massive pustule, possibly even exploding. Mikey locks himself in his room, horrified, especially when the zits start appearing on his tongue. Elsewhere, Karai sits on Shredder's throne while he's in Japan recruiting. Dog Pound trips on the automatic door, denting a water tank, while Fishface teases him. Karai demands respect and instructs them to bring in someone to maintain her robotic foot soldiers, Baxter Stockman. Despite Dog Pound reminding her of past betrayals, she orders them to capture him anyway. Back in the lair, Mikey hides under a pizza box. Splinter senses he's hiding something, and Mikey admits he applied a jar of blue goop from Donnie's lab, hoping to become super cool. Donnie confirms Mikey's mistake. The goop was a dangerous batch of retro mutagen meant to be kept super cooled. Warning labels cover the jar, but Mikey still insists they weren't clear enough. With the cause identified, Donnie calculates that Mikey could fully mutate and explode in 3 hours. To create an antidote, he needs a molecular centrifuge. The only one they know of is in the destroyed TCRI building. Dog Pound races through the city, following his keen sense of smell to track Baxter Stockman, moaning about his miserable, mutated state. Meanwhile, the Turtles search the ruined TCRI building for the centrifuge. They stumble upon Baxter, who unleashes a horde of mousers and plans to use the centrifuge to build his own mutant army. Dog Pound arrives, fighting the turtles with renewed vigor while Mikey chases Baxter. Dog Pound snatches the scientist, smashing a wall and causing part of the building to collapse. Mikey saves his brothers, but both villains escape. Back at the lair, Mikey's zits worsen. Donnie warns that any sudden pop could trigger a chain reaction, potentially making him explode. While the turtles debate where Dog Pound might have taken Baxter, Mikey decides to act and heads to Baxter's old lab alone. There, Dog Pound and Fishface confront Baxter, hoping he can restore their humanity. Dog Pound clamps a collar full of tiny mutagen vials onto Baxter, warning him not to double-cross them. Mikey sneaks in, attempting to steal the centrifuge, but Dog Pound catches him. Mikey dodges carefully due to his sensitive zits. When Dog Pound jumps after him onto a weakened platform, he falls into a vat of mutagen. Moments later, he emerges transformed into a hulking black werewolf with serrated bones and razor-sharp claws, earning the name Rahzar from Mikey. As Rahzar, Bradford feels faster, stronger, and finally like a true ninja. He hurls Mikey against a wall, but the sensitive turtle grabs a support girder with his nunchaku, avoiding disaster for his zits. Rahzar lunges again but is blocked by one of Raph's twin Says as the other turtles arrive, having tracked Mikey. Mikey tries to escape with the centrifuge, while Fishface chases him and Baxter calls more mousers. Amid the chaos, Mikey hatches a plan. He tricks Rahzar into lunging at a control panel. Rahzar jams his claws in, electrocuting himself. Mikey jokes that the mutant just got shell-shocked. The turtles take the high ground, and Donnie activates sprinklers, electrocuting the mousers, Baxter, and Fishface simultaneously. Raph reveals he has secured the centrifuge, allowing the team to escape. Outside, Karai taps Baxter's mutagen collar with her katana, promoting him and forcing his allegiance to her and Shredder. Back at the lair, Donnie finishes the antidote, coating acne pads, which Mikey applies to return to normal. Splinter praises Mikey's resourcefulness. Mikey brags about correctly predicting Dog Pound's move, but Donnie jokingly points out a zit growing on Mikey's nose, sending him lunging angrily at his brother in mock fury. At Shredder's lair in Japan, he scolds Karai via MOUSER projection for attacking the turtles against his orders and failing to defeat the mutants. Karai suggests having the Krang upgrade the robot foot soldiers, blaming them for the turtles' escape, but Shredder forbids any further dealings with the aliens until his return, warning of severe consequences. Once he signs off, Karai heads to a Krang hideout, where they're creating a robotic replica of Chris Bradford in his human form. She orders it to target April, though the Krang hesitate. Meanwhile, April walks home at night, followed by Donnie. She quickly confronts him with her Tessin, surprised to see him but still angry at the turtles for her father's mutation. Donnie apologizes, but she refuses, insisting on returning to a normal life. Back at the lair, Raph steals Mikey's popcorn while the others watch SRMFF. Donnie notices the episode mirrors his own struggles, but the others remind him the princess always comes back. Donnie retreats to the lab, hearing Krang communications again. The turtles hit the streets in the Shell Razor, tracking the Krang's secret weapon. Mikey jokes it's burrito lasers, and Raph mocks him. Meanwhile, April meets Casey at the hockey rink. They share stories of lost friends and unintended mistakes, and April reflects on her grudge against the turtles, realizing she should make amends. Footbots suddenly attack April, who initially fends them off, but is surprised by their upgraded skills. Casey jumps onto the ice, tossing 2 pucks into the air and smashing them into the robots' faces. One Footbot tries to strike Casey with a scythe, but April throws her comma to intercept. A dozen more Footbots arrive, and April tries to lead them away while Casey stays behind, eager to fight. Karai watches from a rooftop and sends more robots after April. Meanwhile, the turtles locate the Krang hideout. Mikey uses shadow puppets, an elephant, a rabbit, and a belly dancer, to distract the guards, allowing the team to disable the droids and find the gigantic secret weapon. The intruder alert triggers, forcing them to fight despite Donnie following April's coordinates separately. At the hockey rink, Casey fights off more foot soldiers with unpredictable moves. April continues battling Footbots, now revealed to have 4 weaponized arms. Karai finally confronts her, wielding a spear. "This is between us girls," she says, pinning April, who responds with a Tessin strike. Donnie arrives to help, landing hits on Karai with his staff. Misled by past lies, Karai claims she'll take April, thinking she belongs to Splinter, but Donnie insists she won't, keeping his focus on defending her as April fights the remaining Footbots. The Turtles continue battling the Krang, but Robo Bradford, fully charged, easily defeats Mikey, using plasma whips and swords to overpower them all. He ties up Leo and prepares to blast him with his laser eyes, but as programming shifts, he leaves to capture April, forcing the Turtles to follow. Mikey accidentally fires one of the Krang guns at his brothers while chasing. Karai keeps April occupied, while Donnie fights off robotic foot soldiers. Robo Bradford grabs April, revealing his true mission to reserve her for the Krang. Karai intercepts him, but the robot now sees everyone else as a threat. The Shellraiser spins into the robot, and Mikey hurls manhole covers, all destroyed. Karai retreats with a smoke bomb, vowing, "For now." April remembers Casey at the hockey rink and rushes back, finding him safe after defeating the remaining foot soldiers. Back at the lair, April reconciles with the Turtles, apologizing and promising never to hold a grudge. Splinter welcomes her, and training resumes. Mikey offers her eternal rotten pizza, and April hugs and kisses Donnie on the cheek. Donnie daydreams, flying around yelling, "I love being a turtle." Michelangelo is frantically playing a video game while Leonardo watches, desperate to defeat a monstrous opponent. But he loses. Raphael emerges from his room with Spike on his shoulder, furious that Mikey's pizza stains ruined 6 years of vintage comic books. Mikey tries to fix it, sarcastically licking a comic, but Raph swats him. Leo tells Raph to relax, only fueling his anger. He storms off, complaining that his brothers always make mistakes and blame him. In Donnie's lab, a retro mutagen experiment goes wrong, sending fireworks blasting across the lair. Raph saves Spike, then angrily accuses Donnie of endangering them. Storming into his room with the last canister of mutagen, he sets it on a table and talks with Spike about functioning better without his brothers. Mikey interrupts, but as Raph closes the door, the canister cracks, spilling mutagen onto the floor. Spike curiously touches it and mutates into a giant, hulking creature. The Turtles continue cleaning while Donnie's mutagen tracker alerts them. Raph refuses to join, focusing on his newly mutated pet. Spike, now calling himself Slash, convinces Raph they can be their own crime-fighting team. Armed and ready, Raph gears up, and Slash chooses a massive mace. Using his sense of smell, Slash leads them toward the spilled mutagen canister. Meanwhile, Donnie and the others follow the tracker, but a pizza delivery boy mistakenly snatches the canister, thinking it's an energy drink, complicating both teams' missions. Slash ambushes Donnie, hoisting him into the air. Mikey notices and warns Raph, who realizes Slash is Spike mutated. Mikey panics, begging Raph to help save Donnie. Raph agrees, prioritizing his brothers over everything, angering Slash. Slash attacks Mikey with brutal punches, but insists he does not want to fight Raph. Reluctantly, Raph engages, trying to protect Mikey and Donnie. Meanwhile, Leo pursues the mutagen canister, which a salesman mistakes for a glow lamp. Climbing into a nearby trash can, Leo plans to retrieve it. Raph and Mikey find an injured Donnie on a rooftop. Raph supports him while Mikey investigates a voice he thinks is Leo's, only for Slash to trick him. Slash captures Mikey, but Raph rescues him. Raph battles Slash, discovering the mutated turtle has mastered the turtle's fighting techniques. Leo intervenes as Slash attacks, but is easily pushed aside. Raph uses his knowledge of pressure points, learned from Splinter, to unbalance Slash. He falls from the roof, seemingly defeated, though later survives and escapes. Back at the lair, Raph reflects on the events. Splinter advises him to cherish those still present, and Raph rejoins his brothers, acknowledging, "You guys aren't so bad to hang out with either." The Turtles are training on rooftops, with April struggling to keep up. They debate whether she should join more missions, unaware someone is photographing them from afar. April senses the photographer, and the Turtles spot him too. The man escapes into a nearby apartment, but the Turtles follow and find walls covered in photos, many of the Krang and themselves. Raph corners him, Say at his throat, but the man claims he isn't an enemy. He introduces himself as investigative journalist Jack Kurtzman, tracking missing scientists and uncovering the Krang's plan to terraform Earth using mutagen. He shows a photo of April as a baby, revealing her mother had been experimented on by the Krang. April is shocked, but before she can react, Krang droids arrive to capture her. The Turtles and Kurtzman fend off the robots. April is nearly abducted twice, but saved by Leo and Donnie. Kurtzman falls from a window, but Mikey catches him with his nunchuck. Outside, a Krang with mechanical appendages fires at them, forcing everyone into the Shellraiser to escape. Kurtzman explains they must infiltrate the rebuilt TCRI building to erase all records of April's DNA. He provides a stolen TCRI keycard. Leo wants April to stay behind, but she refuses to be sidelined and insists on coming along, determined to help. The Turtles and April enter the rebuilt TCRI building, spotting a charging android. As more robots activate, they carefully navigate the walkways and reach an elevator just in time. At the top floor, Krang Prime and numerous Krang meditate in midair. April reads their thoughts telepathically, but they soon detect her and the Turtles, prompting a fierce battle. Amid the chaos, April is seemingly captured by a Krang droid. The Turtles chase her, only to discover she escapes and leads them into a detention cell. Toxic gas fills the room, and the April with them laughs, revealing herself as a clone. The Turtles defeat the duplicate by slamming it into a control panel, reducing it to black slime. They progress to a lab full of April clones in stasis tubes while a Krang prepares to extract the real April's DNA. A grotesque reject clone emerges. Leo and Mikey fight it while Raph follows April's screams to rescue her, and Donnie hacks the computers to erase her data. The struggle intensifies, but April emits a psychic signal, incapacitating the Krang and the clone. Raph rescues her, Donnie erases the DNA, and together they destroy the remaining clones with Kurtzman's help, escaping in a Krang van. Back at the lair, Donnie analyzes April's DNA and discovers she is half human, half Krang. Her newfound psychic abilities confirm this, shocking the Turtles and April herself. Mikey cheerfully welcomes her to the family, leaving April both amazed and terrified. In a voiceover, Casey Jones declares his mission to rid New York City of all mutant and criminal threats, vowing to protect his friends and family. A montage shows him preparing for battle, exercising intensely, donning his hockey mask, and gathering his arsenal of hockey sticks, baseball bats, and other weapons. Meanwhile, down in the sewers, Master Splinter orders the Turtles into a chaotic, free-for-all sparring exercise to hone their skills and detect strengths or weaknesses. Mikey and Donnie are quickly defeated, leaving Leo and Raph to face each other. The two brothers disarm one another, but Raph, distracted while retrieving a missing weapon, leaves himself vulnerable. Leo strikes him with a knee to the face, enraging Raph, who retaliates fiercely, nearly knocking Leo unconscious. Though his brothers and Splinter condemn the rashness, Raph storms out of the lair to clear his head, lamenting how his motives are constantly misunderstood. On the rooftops, Casey surveys the city and records his observations in a diary. He witnesses the purple dragons harassing a man for his wallet and intervenes, skillfully defeating them in single combat using his hockey pucks. Unbeknownst to him, Raph watches from another rooftop and is appalled at Casey's extreme methods. As Casey prepares to finish off the gang, Raph intervenes, sparking a heated duel between the two. Neither gains the upper hand. Raph almost kills Casey but stops himself. Casey then electrocutes Raph with a custom stunner and escapes by clinging to a passing taxi, leaving Raph to retreat. The following day at Roosevelt High School, April and her friend Irma find Casey at his locker, bandaged and bruised. When asked about his injuries, Casey claims they came from the hockey rink, a story both girls find hard to believe since the rink has been closed. As Irma heads to her trig exam, April walks with her, prompting Casey to reveal that he had actually fought a dangerous mutant the previous night. That night in the lair, Raph mutters an apology to Leo for his outburst a few nights earlier. Donnie and Mikey, however, get on his nerves with humorous insults, pushing Raph over the edge and prompting him to storm out once again. Meanwhile, Casey sits on a fire escape near the same rooftop as before, taking notes and sketches while observing Raph kicking things around. Hearing his yells, Casey follows him into the sewers, but unknowingly, a squad of footbots begins tracking him as well. Back in the lair, the Turtles watch TV. Casey discovers the lair and, while exploring, accidentally knocks a fork off a stack of pizza boxes, revealing his presence. The Turtles confront him, briefly frightened by his skull-themed face paint. April emerges after training with Splinter, recognizing Casey and introducing him to the team. Casey asks if the Turtles are Italian, and Splinter explains he named them after Italian Renaissance artists. Casey faints at the sight of Splinter and April revives him, explaining that Splinter is peaceful. Raph laughs at Casey's fear of rats, while Mikey teases Raph about his fear of cockroaches. Suddenly, April senses footbots approaching. The robots invade, and the turtles fight to hold them off, defeating many, but one lone robot scans the lair for their location. Splinter warns them not to let it escape. Putting aside their hostility, Raph and Casey team up to pursue it. Along the chase, they save each other, Raph from a train, Casey from being thrown off, strengthening their budding friendship. After several attempts, Casey electrocutes the robot, and Raph finishes it off with a sigh. Returning to the lair, Raph and Casey find the remaining footbots already destroyed. The two celebrate their victory, now true allies. Splinter thanks Casey for helping his family, and Casey is happy to have someone to assist in cleaning the streets. Donnie humorously realizes they now have two Raphs, while the new duo heads back to the streets, ready to take on crime together. Casey and April sit on a bench in the middle of New York City, listening to music. April admits she loves having a true friend who knows about the turtles. Casey chuckles, saying that 4 turtles living underground with a rodent master is something no one could make up. Once the coast is clear, they venture into the sewer to visit the turtles, but a strange, pungent odor catches their attention. Suddenly, a maintenance man runs past screaming. The two follow him around a corner but find he has vanished. Before they can react, a strange powder hits April in the face, and she glimpses Casey's face transformed into a bat. Horrified, she stumbles back, convinced she is seeing her mutated father. Casey, bewildered, runs to the lair to alert the turtles. Splinter and Leo meditate, with Leo struggling after recent nightmares of losing his brothers. Splinter reassures him that such fears are normal for a leader. Casey explains April's strange behavior, prompting the turtles to follow into the sewers. Soon, Casey himself becomes overcome by hallucinations of rats, his greatest fear. Donnie realizes that mutant mushrooms are causing the chaos. The mushrooms begin attaching to the turtles, creating confusion. One sprays Raph, making him see Leo as the spy roach, and he leaps to attack. Leo dodges and Raph crashes to the ground. Mikey wraps him in his nunchakus, finally restraining his terrified, confused brother. Back in the lair, Donnie examines some of the substance the mushrooms sprayed on April and makes a startling discovery. The mushroom's natural toxins don't just harm, they trigger hallucinations of a person's worst fears. Realizing the danger, the team heads back into the sewers to prevent the mushrooms from reaching the city. They encounter a small army of mushrooms which spray Mikey. He trips over Raph's leg and both freak out. Raph sees Mikey as a spy roach, while Mikey sees Raph as a squirrelinoid. Donnie is sprayed next and hallucinates a demon-like April berating him as a freak. The others flee, leaving Leo alone, but he is soon sprayed as well. He hallucinates Captain Ryan from Space Heroes, punishing him for failing to protect his brothers. Mushrooms surround him, squirting more toxins into his face, and he slips off a ledge. Landing unhurt, he sees a gigantic mushroom with a single staring eye that commands its spawns to amplify Leo's fear. Leo draws on Splinter's earlier advice, slicing through the attacking mushrooms and finally destroying the giant fungus by reflecting sunlight into its eye. The chain reaction wipes out all the other mushrooms, freeing the others from their hallucinations. They find Leo unconscious on the ground, but he awakens quickly. Raph thanks him for saving their lives. Back at the lair, Leo recounts everything to Splinter, who praises him for facing his fear. Mikey brings out a Victory Antonio pizza with mushrooms that are still moving, much to everyone's disgust. The scene opens with Metalhead's point of view, scanning the turtles as they watch him closely. Donatello explains to his brothers that he's vastly upgraded Metalhead's AI, enabling him to follow commands and simulate dozens of fighting styles, including those of the Foot Clan and the Krang. After some playful banter and a short training session, Metalhead demonstrates his improved abilities by easily besting all 4 brothers at once. Even Master Splinter looks surprised and sternly reminds Donnie to use his creation wisely and avoid letting it become a threat to the turtles. Suddenly, a security wire outside trips, triggering Metalhead's alarm. The turtles rush to investigate and spot a frantic Spider Bites being chased by 3 armed Krang droids. Before he can explain, the Krang capture him on the surface. Donnie, anticipating trouble, commands Metalhead into action. Using his new independence, Metalhead jumps into the Shellraiser and pursues the Krang's truck. A chaotic battle ensues in the streets, with Metalhead eventually ramming the vehicle. When the Turtles exit to investigate, they find both spider bites and the truck vanished into a nearby parking garage, likely a secret Krang warehouse. Leonardo begins to show subtle jealousy at Metalhead's usefulness. Meanwhile, Michelangelo discovers a hidden Krang computer behind a vending machine and Donnie instructs Metalhead to access it. Instead, Metalhead destroys the device and injures himself in the process, earning the scorn of the Turtles. Back at the lair, Donatello examines Metalhead and tells the others that the robot can only be fully repaired after some time. The lengthy repairs quickly test the Turtles' patience, and Leonardo finally orders Donnie to shut down Metalhead's AI, insisting that the robot is too dangerous and unpredictable in its current state. Metalhead, overhearing this, refuses to comply. It locks the Turtles inside Donnie's lab and storms off. Splinter frees the Turtles, who quickly pursue Metalhead in the Shellraiser. Using a tracking device Donnie installed, they locate the robot, but to their confusion, Metalhead steps into a porta-potty and vanishes. Michelangelo discovers that the porta-potty conceals a portal, which sucks the Turtles inside. They arrive at a hidden Krang base, which doubles as a prison for past mutants like Snakeweed, Spider Bites, Slash, the Squirrelanoids, Dr. Tyler Rockwell, and more. Metalhead is at the main computer, revealing it was loyal all along, working to free the mutants and earn the Turtles' trust. The Krang detect the plan, prompting the Turtles and Metalhead to fight side by side. Despite brainwashed allies interfering briefly, Metalhead rescues the Turtles, frees the captured mutants, and reopens the portal to Earth. Metalhead cannot leave, staying to maintain the portal. After heartfelt goodbyes to Donnie, the robot attacks the main computer, destroying Krang droids and sacrificing itself in a massive implosion. Back on Earth, only Metalhead's inactive head remains. Donnie acknowledges the robot's heroic choice, and Leonardo apologizes for doubting it. The Turtles observe a moment of silence, while Donnie hints he might one day repair their fallen ally. In Dimension X, Leatherhead frantically races through a Krang facility, dodging patrols and searching for a safe spot to use his Krang communicator. He manages to send a brief transmission to the Turtles, warning them that the Krang have perfected their mutagen. Before he can give more details, Krang soldiers catch up to him. Leatherhead fends off the first wave, but is quickly overpowered by reinforcements wielding stun guns and captured. Back in the sewer lair, Leo, Raph, and Mikey watch the final episode of Super Robo Mecha Force 5 while Donnie works in his lab. Mikey accidentally ruins the tape when he tries to show Donnie a scene. Distracted by a massive robotic hand, Mikey learns it's part of Donnie's incomplete turtle mech. Frustrated, Donnie swipes a Krang portal generator off his desk, which floats and activates a gateway to Dimension X. Air from the dimension seeps into the lair, forcing Donnie to hand out filtration units. Leatherhead's transmission comes through the Krang communicator just as he is captured. Mikey, desperate to help, bangs the portal orb and forces himself through it. Leo warns him that he won't be allowed to come, but Mikey insists on saving Leatherhead. The other Turtles follow immediately. In Dimension X, the environment is macabre and bizarre. Donnie notices strange physics. Objects return from the same angle when thrown, and they can stand upside down. Searching for Mikey, they encounter massive orb-like creatures that zap Leo and Raph with intense electricity. Both brothers are severely shocked and fall, nearly unconscious. After the beasts escape, Donnie spots a crystal resembling a Krang power cell. Breaking a piece triggers a massive explosion, sending the Turtles crashing among shards. Shaken, Leo sets a strict rule: don't touch anything. The Turtles arrive at a place where Mikey could be and immediately notice a small, cute creature giving off a horrible stench. Raph warns Leo not to touch anything, but Leo assumes it's harmless. Suddenly, the creature grows into a massive insect-like monster and attacks Leo, Raph, and Donnie. Mikey, wearing a strange outfit, appears and defeats it using only loud noises, shocking his brothers. He claims he's been in Dimension X for months or a few hours. Donnie explains that time in the dimension flows differently, causing a temporal differential. The alien returns, but Mikey scares it off again with a shriek. He collects alien worms that shoot out grappling hook-like tongues, impressing Raph. Mikey even drinks some green slime from a worm, grossing out his brothers. Mikey leads them to a huge Krang compound, warning of thousands of Krang and Trog and Granitor who attack immediately. Leo and Raph try to fight but are overpowered. Mikey rescues Leo with another shriek, demonstrating his cleverness and abilities. Inside the compound, the turtles see a tree turning to crystal and Krang Prime monitoring it. They find Leatherhead, older and battle-hardened, and free him. Leatherhead guides them to Krang production halls where hundreds of robots are preparing to invade Earth. Mikey commands the team. Leo and Raph block hallways, Donnie shuts portals, and Leatherhead smashes Krang's soldiers. Mikey ensures one portal stays open for 30 seconds to escape and kicks Leatherhead through it, followed by his brothers. He grabs a crystal as the last one through, triggering a massive explosion that collapses the compound. Back in New York, Mikey gives the crystal to Donnie for Turtle Mech's power source. The team celebrates temporarily halting the Krang invasion. Leo warns of an approaching storm, and the Turtles and Leatherhead huddle, ready to defend the city. The scene opens in Shredder's lair, where he sits on his throne, reflecting on Karai, her days as a human, his pride in her ninja skills, and the moment she mutated into a serpent. Tiger Claw enters, asking if he's made his decision. Shredder acknowledges the Krang's danger, but notes that their advanced technology has greatly benefited the Foot Clan with little asked in return. Tiger Claw warns that the Krang will betray them, but Shredder reveals he has no regard for humans either and dismisses him. Shredder then contacts Krang Prime, agreeing to deliver Splinter and the Turtles to him in exchange for reversing Karai's mutation and aiding the Krang in taking over New York, and eventually, the world. Meanwhile, April and Irma walk down the street. Irma asks if she'll ever meet April's secret friends. April reassures her, then questions Irma's lack of a coat. Their conversation is cut short when robot foot soldiers drop near them, forcing the girls to flee. Raph and Casey patrol rooftops searching for Karai. Casey pauses for graffiti art. Raph scolds him, and they briefly discuss April, with Raph noting Casey's obvious feelings. In the sewer lair, Donnie, Leo, and Mikey discuss the impending Krang invasion. Donnie worries about the turtle mech. Leo stresses the need for a secondary base. Splinter reminds them to set aside egos and focus. April leads Irma into the sewers. Raph spots Karai on nearby rooftops but is distracted as police attempt to arrest Casey for loitering. At the lair, April and Irma arrive. Splinter is shocked at the stranger. Irma searches for her glasses, and upon finding them, reveals she's actually a Krang robot controlled by Krang Subprime. Portals suddenly open throughout the lair, signaling the invasion has begun. Casey struggles with the police officers as Krang portals suddenly open on a nearby playground. Krang step through, and Casey discovers the two policemen are Krang droids. He quickly dispatches them with his hockey stick. Raph joins him, and the two retreat toward the lair as more Krang appear. Inside the lair, Splinter, Leo, Donnie, and Mikey fight the invading Krang. Splinter tells the Turtles and April to escape while he holds off the intruders. They attempt to flee in the Shell Razor, but Krang Subprime destroys it with missiles. Leo leads his brothers and April into the sewers, forcing a choice, left toward the turtle mech or right toward the surface to search for Raph and Casey. Donnie wants to use the turtle mech, but Leo insists it's too slow. A portal opens nearby, and Krang attack, injuring Donnie. Leo orders Mikey to take Donnie and April to safety while he distracts the enemies. On the surface, Donnie, Mikey, and April head to April's apartment. Donnie tries to confess his feelings to April while she patches his arm, but she scolds him. Kirby panics at the chaos outside and Mikey tries to calm him, only for Kirby to pass out. The city teems with Krang walkers and scout ships. Raph and Casey see a massive portal open as Krang Prime emerges, blasting perfected mutagen. Casey is intrigued, but Raph realizes the Krang plan to turn Earth into Dimension X. The invasion spreads chaos across the city as Krang droids, footbots, and mutagenic crystals cover the streets. Donnie, Mikey, and April watch the news from April's apartment. April scolds herself for bringing Irma to the lair and vows to set things right, determined to find Leo, Raph, and Casey, though Kirby begs her to stay safe. Raph texts Mikey that he and Casey are on their way, but are being chased by Krang Prime. Krang Prime continues spreading mutagen throughout the city. Raph and Casey narrowly escape capture thanks to the Earth Protection Force, who attack the Krang, giving the two a chance to retreat. Meanwhile, Leo fights Shredder's footbots, dodging arrows and desperately searching for his enemies. Shredder watches from afar, letting Leo tire while Rahzar and Tiger Claw await the signal to strike. Leo eventually overcomes multiple foes but is blindsided by Shredder, who knocks him unconscious. Tiger Claw retrieves him. Noticing Mikey's text about April's apartment, Shredder orders his minions to use Leo to lure the turtles out. Splinter confronts Shredder, demanding his son's location, and they clash. At April's apartment, the turtles regroup. Raph and Casey arrive first, followed by Mikey, who hugs Raph. April embraces Casey, relieved he's safe. Donnie warns them Leo is still out there, just as Leo is thrown through the window, unconscious and with a cracked shell. Footbots attack, but Donnie and Casey fend them off. Mikey retaliates against Rahzar, while Kirby, doused in mutagen, mutates. The group escapes in Kirby's old VW, ducking into alleys to regroup. Splinter and Shredder continue their fierce battle, with Shredder claiming Splinter is weak while he himself is empowered by rage. Splinter knocks Shredder down, warning him that anger doesn't last, but Shredder ignores him and kicks him against a machine, sending lead pipes crashing onto him. As Shredder prepares to strike, Leatherhead leaps at him, biting down, but Shredder overpowers him and throws him into the water below. Fueled by righteous anger, Splinter regains his strength and fights Shredder fiercely, both falling into the pit after Leatherhead. Meanwhile, the party wagon reaches a garage. Leo remains unconscious, and Casey vows to protect him while searching for Splinter and Karai. Raph, Donnie, April, and Mikey return to the lair, searching for Splinter but finding no trace. Donnie instructs Raph and Mikey to collect sentimental items before leaving town. Raph takes a photo of Spike. Donnie bids goodbye to Timothy, and Mikey grabs Ice Cream Kitty. April, overwhelmed by visions of Splinter battling Shredder, follows the images to a drain pipe and watches him struggle against his enemy. Shredder throws Splinter into a septic tank, enraging Raph, but Mikey comforts him. They launch the turtle mech against the Krang, holding their ground despite Krang Prime's attacks. Donnie electrocutes Krang Prime, blacking out Manhattan, but the threat continues. April uses her mind to attack while Casey drives the mech, and they escape to her family farmhouse in Northampton. Splinter, washed into a sewer junction, is lifted by mutant Karai, who recoils as he gasps, then disappears back into the water. Leonardo is in the woods, armed with a bow and arrow, tracking a deer. The deer bolts, and Leo falls from the tree, aggravating his injured leg. Looking up, he sees the deer return, glowing briefly before lunging angrily at him. Startled, Leo watches it vanish as quickly as it appeared. At the farmhouse, Raph, Donnie, and Mikey are splitting logs for training. April tries the same, with Casey holding a log for her, but her kick accidentally sends Casey crashing to the ground. Leo then arrives, having realized in the woods that he and his brothers have grown too dependent on technology and personal matters, neglecting their connection with nature. He declares a 3-day forest expedition to meditate, practice awareness, and eat only what they forage, insisting that true ninjas must become one with nature. Casey objects, but April is intrigued, though Leo forbids her from joining. Casey is pleased, eager to spend time alone with her, much to Donnie's annoyance. Out in the forest, the turtles meditate, cross rivers, and train in ninjutsu. At night, leaves levitate, startling Mikey. Leo spots the glowing deer again, which transforms into a humanoid figure. Donnie, Mikey, and Raph attack, but hit each other instead, and the deer disappears. Later, the campfire grows blue, manifesting Master Splinter's spirit. He teaches the turtles to confront their weaknesses. Raphael must temper his fire. Michelangelo must find calm, Donatello must strengthen his body, and Leonardo must lead like the unstoppable wind. Splinter vanishes, leaving them to face spiritual challenges the next day. The next morning, Leo tells his brothers their quest is clear. They forge new weapons and armor and set out alone to face the fears holding them back. Raph equips Tekko Kagi and a flamethrower pack. Donnie attaches an axe to his bow staff. Mikey wields kamas, and Leo arms himself with a bow and arrow. Leo travels across a bridge and faces ambushing foot soldiers. Raph fights in a fiery cave against ninjas and Fish Face, Donnie battles on a mountain against Tiger Claw, and Mikey confronts a swarm of foot ninjas and Razar. Each turtle struggles, nearly defeated, but recalls Master Splinter's lessons. Mikey senses Razar's moves and defeats him. Donnie throws Tiger Claw off the mountain, and Raph fuses his weapons to overcome Fishface. Leo, initially beaten by Shredder, realizes his pain is mental, and with confidence, shoots Shredder with an arrow, defeating him on the spirit plane. Back at the farmhouse, April finally breaks a log as the turtles emerge from the forest in new gear. Leo declares, "It's time, we're going back to New York." Mikey is in Donnie's lab, trying to make plutonium for retro mutagen by stuffing random things into it. When Donnie sees him, he gets furious and tries to stop him, but one drop falls into the retro mutagen. It starts bubbling and foaming, looking like it will explode, but instead it sparkles. Donnie tackles Mikey, and the two wrestle until Splinter arrives, pressing pressure points on both and demanding an explanation. Donnie scans the mixture and realizes Mikey's plutonium perfected the retro mutagen. It takes only a drop to match a whole canister of regular mutagen. Mikey recalls using pizza, urinade, analyte, and muronic acid. Splinter tells Donnie that Mikey's antics created something that could save New York, though April points out they're in Dimension X due to her visions. The Turtles plan to use the TCRI portal to enter Dimension X and save people. Krang attack, but Leo saves 2 humans. Outnumbered, the Turtles are helped by Pigeon Pete, Leatherhead, Doctor, Rockwell, and Slash, the mighty Mutanimals. Leo scolds Slash, but Leatherhead and Mikey defend him. They follow the Mutanimals to their lair. At the Mutanimals' lair, Jack Kurtzman reveals he survived the invasion and urges the Ninja Turtles and Mutanimals to team up, though both leaders hesitate. He warns them the Krang are building a mutagen missile capable of turning Earth into another dimension X. A fight breaks out between the teams, interrupted by the arrival of Krang with biodroids. Kurtzman tries to grab a Krang intel disk but is shocked by a stray blast. Leatherhead rescues him and both teams retreat. Back at the Turtles' hideout, Kurtzman gives Leo the intel disk before collapsing. Splinter, April, and Casey stay behind to help him while Donnie devises a plan to hack the missile. Slash wants a direct attack, but Leo prefers targeting the missile itself. Donnie takes the Turtles to the water tower, revealing it as the new Turtle Blimp. At the missile site, the Mutanimals attack as a distraction. Krang Subprime launches the missile, but Donnie hacks it, redirecting it into the sun. The teams escape using gliders. Irmahead attacks Pete but is destroyed by Slash. Krang Subprime orders a retreat, and both teams celebrate. Leo admires Slash's bravery, readying themselves to break into TCRI and save New York. With the turtle blimp sailing through the sky, Raph asked if they really had a plan. Donnie and Mikey explained how they would reach Dimension X, which Raph understood. But when Leo mentioned using Donnie's retro mutagen to save New York's hybridized humans, Raph grimly said they were doomed. Inside TCRI, Slash and the Mutanimals fought the Krang to reach the portal. Rockwell hacked the system, successfully opening the gateway. Donnie reminded everyone to prepare their oxygen converters as the blimp entered the portal. Unbeknownst to them, Krang Subprime reattached his head and followed secretly. Back in Dimension X, Mikey donned his Savage Mikey costume, using his organic antenna to track the humans. The Turtles followed his directions until a Krathatragon appeared. Raph attacked with the trash cannon, but it failed. The giant worm crashed through the blimp, sending the Turtles crashing onto a floating island. Raph tried to fight it, only to fall onto Leo, while Mikey discovered the worm's weak spot, its rear, allowing them to fend it off. Donnie noticed activity on a nearby floating island, which Leo scoped with his telescope. Mikey guessed that Krang hybrids were forced to gather energy crystals. Raph and Donnie remembered the plan: turn the humans back and have the Mutanimals send them safely to Earth. Meanwhile, the Mutanimals struggled. On the islands, Leo spotted the humans, but Raph questioned how to restore them. Donnie reminded everyone they needed a large amount of mutagen to convert into retro mutagen. Mikey suggested a technodrome might have enough. Donnie proposed using a nearby Krang stealth ship. Krang Subprime appeared, but Mikey knocked him away, letting them board the ship. only to be attacked by a Dracodroid, crashing them into the Technodrome. Inside the Technodrome, the Turtles fought Krang droids, while Donnie discovered the Krang had been using mutagen to power the facility, and Mikey started the ship to aid their mission. Inside the TCRI, Slash watched Rockwell focus, noting his psychic powers were weakened without the amplifier. Rockwell managed to open their cage, and the mutanimals attacked the Krang again. Donnie inserted chemicals to convert the Technodrome's mutagen into retro-mutagen, but the engine stalled. Mikey adjusted the fuel converters, restarting the ship just as Krang Subprime began cutting through the door. Donnie tried contacting the mutanimals, and Rockwell reopened the portal while Slash blocked Ms. Campbell together. Both teams restored the humans on one of the 3 islands and teleported them back to Earth. Raph initially resisted being beamed, but changed his mind when Subprime appeared. Leo held off the Krang while Donnie gave coordinates, Raph beamed the retro-mutagen, and Mikey piloted the Technodrome. Once all humans were safe, the Turtles teleported out as the Technodrome exploded. Back in New York, the city's power returned and people celebrated. April reunited with Kirby and the Turtles regrouped with the Mutanimals. In a voiceover, Casey narrates that New York is slowly recovering from the Krang invasion, though crime still runs rampant, especially with the Purple Dragons. At that moment, the Purple Dragons rob a bank and Casey drops in to stop them, only to face their new leader, Hun. After a brief struggle, Hun easily defeats Casey and escapes with his gang as the police arrive, leaving Casey frustrated. Meanwhile, the Turtles and Splinter return to their lair, damaged from the invasion. Leo cleans the living room, Donnie finds his lab in chaos, Splinter restores a family photo, and Mikey eats a moldy slice of pizza while tidying the kitchen. Raphael clears out Krang droids as Casey enters, upset. He scolds the Turtles for not addressing rising crime. Leonardo and Donnie remind him they were dealing with a massive alien invasion, while Mikey enjoys a snack. Casey reluctantly admits he fought the Purple Dragons, but avoids revealing he lost, earning sarcastic laughter from the others. Later, Casey spots Shredder, Tiger Claw, and Foot Soldiers meeting Don Vizioso at a secretive restaurant. Disguised as a waiter, Casey overhears Shredder asserting control over the city's criminal underworld and issuing demands. When pinned by Shredder, Casey explains he's just a busboy, and Shredder warns him to never reveal his face again. Casey, hyped from his encounter with Shredder, texts Raphael about the situation. Back at the lair, the Turtles continue cleaning. Leo admits cleaning is harder than training. Meanwhile, Michelangelo panics over the TV remote, annoying Donnie, who hits him with a broom. Mikey finds the remote, turns on the TV, and watches Conrad the Barbarian. Raphael leaves to check Casey's messages. At the docks, Razar throws a man from a car while Fishface searches for chemicals. Casey ambushes Fishface, gaining the upper hand until Fishface kicks him into a pile of boxes. Razar approaches, but a falling box knocks him down, and Raphael intervenes. Together, they secure the dangerous chemicals. Casey wants to pursue Shredder, despite Raph warning him against it. At Stockman's lab, Shredder checks on Karai, demanding a solution to reverse her mutation. Tiger Claw informs him of the Purple Dragon's arrival. Hun offers more chemicals, and Shredder assigns Stockman to synthesize them. Donnie realizes the chemicals are linked to almond chemicals in Chinatown, allowing the Turtles to pinpoint Shredder's location. At the factory, Hun asks to inspect the facility, and Shredder agrees while scolding Tiger Claw for his repeated failures. Casey throws puck bombs and readies himself for a fight, but Shredder easily subdues him, recognizing him as the boy from the restaurant. As Shredder prepares to finish Casey, he shocks him. Angered, Shredder kicks Casey across the floor, pinning him in a corner until Leo and Raph intervene with a kick to keep him away. Donnie and Mikey land behind Shredder, Mikey yelling, "Aw yeah!" A full-scale battle erupts. Donnie fights Fishface, Raph takes on Tiger Claw, Mikey faces Razar, and Leo confronts Shredder. Casey rematches Hun while Donnie mixes the substance from the cheese balls with other chemicals to stop Shredder's plan. After dodging attacks, Casey launches the mixture into the factory, covering it with chemicals. Shredder fumes, declaring it only delays him, while Tiger Claw tastes it and remarks, "It's not bad." Back at the lair, Raph, Leo, and Mikey praise Casey, though he insists he mostly works alone. Donnie reveals Shredder's chemical is mind-controlling, capable of controlling Karai, them, or potentially all of New York City, leaving everyone shocked. At Foot HQ, Shredder watches over Karai as she endures multiple mind-worm injections, offering a false apology and promising revenge soon. Bebop and Rocksteady arrive, summoned to strengthen security against the Turtles. Shredder warns them of punishment if they fail, and they agree nervously. Meanwhile, at the lair, Mikey watches Krognard before checking Donnie's lab. Leo and Raph argue about infiltrating Shredder's lair, and Donnie unveils the Mark X-1 experimental alternative urban stealth vehicle disguised as a dumpster. Despite initial doubts, the Turtles use it to reach the lair, neutralize Footbots, and enter the catacombs, only to be blocked by Bebop, Rocksteady, Tiger Claw, and Shredder's mutants. After a brief clash, the Turtles retreat. Tiger Claw berates the mutants for failing, and Shredder warns of severe consequences. Back at the lair, Raph suffers a sprained ankle, preventing him from going out, though he protests. Leo insists on going alone in his stealth outfit, but Mikey follows, sneaking up behind him and proving his stealth skills. Impressed, Leo allows Mikey to join him, and the two head toward Shredder's lair together. While narrowly avoiding a sleepy fish face and Razar, Leo and Mikey sneak into Stockman Fly's lab. Leo captures a mind worm, but Bebop and Rocksteady ambush them, planning to mutate the Turtles into a two-headed mutant. At the lair, Casey arrives and April warns that Leo and Mikey are missing, while Raph wants to search, but Splinter insists on knowing their whereabouts first. Dangling from a cage, Leo cleverly tricks Bebop and Rocksteady into adding Shredder mutants to the mutagen with a can of sardines, causing the three mutants to fuse into a rampaging Mega Shredder. The Turtles watch the destruction on TV. The Turtle Mech intervenes just in time. Inside Mega Shredder, Mikey battles a worm gripping him, eventually cutting the human tongue, the brain, forcing Mega Shredder to act instinctively. The mech launches a final explosive, destroying it. Meanwhile, Shredder fumes at Bebop and Rocksteady's failure and orders Tiger Claw to teach them a harsh lesson as they try to flee. The Turtles, April, and Casey drive the Shell Razor when Donnie spots a car tailing them. The driver, a Krang wearing sunglasses, leads them into an alley before vanishing. Spray-painted on a dumpster is a message with a Bishop chess piece, directing the team to a mysterious address. Arriving, Mikey recognizes it as the butcher shop where they once fought Tiger Claw. Entering through a secret entrance, they confront the Krang, only to be quickly defeated. The Krang introduces himself as Bishop, inventor of the Norman suit and a member of the Utroms, who broke from the Krong hive mind centuries ago to pursue peace. Bishop warns that the Triceratons are approaching with enough firepower to destroy the solar system. He explains their long-standing war with the Krang, including a battle where the Krang wiped out the Triceraton homeworld using a black hole generator, leaving only one fleet seeking vengeance. At the lair, Rockwell and Slash recover while Leatherhead initially attacks Bishop. The Turtles stop him and confirm Bishop's allegiance. Leo lays out a plan. Raph, Donnie, Mikey, and Leatherhead will infiltrate the Technodrome via the Turtle sub to disable it, while Leo and the others stand by with the Turtle blimp in case it launches. Splinter agrees to monitor them via the Cheese Phone and stay ready to assist. In the Hudson, Krang Prime and Subprime finish repairing the Technodrome. Raph, Donnie, Mikey, and Leatherhead infiltrated in the Turtle sub, but Mikey accidentally sets off an alarm. The Technodrome launches, and Leo tells Raph he has 2 minutes to stop it, but the team is captured. The Turtle blimp rams the Technodrome, creating a hole that allows Leo, April, Casey, and Bishop to enter with gliders. Raph and the others are brought before Krang Prime, who boasts of another Earth invasion. A scanner detects a Triceraton ship approaching. Captain Mozar warns Earth of their extermination plan. After defeating Krang Subprime, Bishop guides the team to stealth ships. Leo and Raph, Mikey and Casey, and Donnie and April split into pairs, while Bishop and Leatherhead land safely. The team pursues Triceratons threatening the city. Donnie and April are shot down to Coney Island, but are rescued by Bishop and Leatherhead. At Washington Square, the Triceratons set up a black hole generator, draining the city's energy. The Turtles, Casey, and Bishop battle them but are gradually overwhelmed, with Michelangelo nearly falling alone against enemy fire. As Mikey faces a Triceraton's plasma weapon, a shuriken lodges in it, destroying the gun. Splinter arrives with reinforcements. The mighty Mutanimals, Mondo Gecko, Muckman, and April. Slash damages the black hole generator's timer, but it isn't destroyed. Bishop abandons his ruined robot body, while Muckman, Pete, and Mondo are incapacitated. More Triceratons beam down, including Mozart, who traps Rockwell, Slash, Leatherhead, and Casey in containment bubbles. Mikey attacks but is captured and teleported to the Triceraton mothership. On the ship, Mikey confronts Mozart, who explains his plan to destroy Earth to prevent the Krang from hiding. Mikey is strapped to the psionic extractor, which instead of harming him, fills him with euphoria, extracting only his love of pizza. When about to be shot again, Mikey talks his way out, revealing knowledge of Krang bases in Dimension X. Meanwhile, on Earth, Splinter urges the Turtles and April to focus on stopping the black hole generator. He declares they must ally with someone more powerful than the Mutanimals, the Shredder, shocking Leo and April. On Earth, Splinter and April enter Shredder's throne room at Foot Headquarters, only to be ambushed by Tiger Claw, Bebop, and Rocksteady. Shredder stops Tiger Claw from killing Splinter and demands to know why his enemy has come. Splinter asks if Shredder will help save the world or watch it be destroyed. Shredder deflects, asking about Karai. Splinter explains she's alive, but not in the city. April appeals to Shredder's love for Karai, urging him to be a hero. After hesitation, Shredder reluctantly agrees to help. Meanwhile, Leo, Raph, and Donnie locate Mikey's Krang stealth ship and fly toward the Triceraton mothership between Earth and the Moon. Donnie activates the cloaking device, but the Triceratons detect them. Mozart sends fighters, and as a plasma beam nearly vaporizes the ship, Donnie uses a previously acquired teleporter to transport himself and his brothers to the opposing ship, where Mikey is held captive. Back in the city, the Triceratons rampage through Washington Square. On the mothership, Donnie pleads with Mozart to spare Earth, but Mozart ignores him and orders the Turtles thrown out of the airlock. Leo grabs a Triceraton prison cell, hurls it into the mothership dome, sucking multiple Triceratons into space. Using Donnie's teleporter, the Turtles escape back to Earth just in time. As the black hole generator rises, the Earth trembles under its immense gravitational pull. The Turtles, April, and Casey cling to debris, watching in horror as buildings, cars, and civilians are drawn skyward. Mikey sobs uncontrollably over Splinter's lifeless body, while Leo, Raph, and Donnie struggle to keep themselves grounded amid the chaos. Casey's anger flares, fists clenched as he sees Shredder standing unrepentant, watching the planet be consumed. 2012 Turtles and their 1987 counterparts work together. The tension rises. The 1987 Turtles struggle to keep up with the speed and skill of their future selves, but quickly adapt, using teamwork and clever improvisation. Donnie from 2012 explains the antimatter nature of the Dimensionizers, showing how even a small miscalculation could obliterate entire cities. Krang, ever cunning, exploits the confusion, teleporting between the dimensions and trying to set off the devices simultaneously. The two turtle teams coordinate, combining stealth, agility, and technical know-how to disable the traps. Mikey's humor and unpredictable moves distract Krang long enough for Leo and Raph to dismantle the first Dimensionizer, while Donnie and April work on the second. Meanwhile, 1987 Splinter watches closely, impressed by the teamwork and bravery of his students and their future selves. Though unaware of the full scope of events to come, he senses the gravity of the situation and trusts their combined efforts. Finally, with seconds to spare, the Turtle teams deactivate both Dimensionizers, neutralizing the threat. In the aftermath, the 1987 Turtles are in awe of their 2012 counterparts, who subtly reassure them that this mission is only the beginning of a much larger journey. Leo glances at Splinter, aware of the future tragedy yet keeping silent, and the teams prepare to return to the 2012 dimension, ready to face the next challenge, the final pieces of the Heart of Darkness. The 1987 Turtles are caught off guard when Tiger Claw emerges from the Krathatragon worm, forcing them to rethink their attack. The massive worm thrashes violently, its unpredictable movements making it nearly impossible to strike accurately.
Et on va désactiver les deux qui restent.
Leo and Raph dodge swinging tails and energy blasts, while Mikey uses his nunchaku to deflect attacks, and Donnie frantically scans the creature for weak points. Tiger Claw proves just as dangerous,
Et on va désactiver les deux qui restent.
striking with agility and precision, cutting through parts of the worm to get at the turtles directly. Realizing they can't fight the two threats separately, Leo directs the team to use the worm's momentum against Tiger Claw, baiting him into striking the Krathatragan. With coordinated attacks, the turtles manage to trap Tiger Claw in a corner of the worm while targeting its vulnerable segments. Donnie quickly devises a makeshift device from lab materials to disable the worm's energy source. The device succeeds, immobilizing the Krathatragon and leaving Tiger Claw unconscious. Exhausted but victorious, the turtles return to their lair, catching their breath and regrouping. Though they have defeated Tiger Claw and the worm, they realize that Krang remnants may still be at large,
Comment on se retrouve cette fois? Vous êtes fait.
reminding them that the fight to protect their world and other dimensions is far from over. After refueling at a space station, the Ulixes resumes the hunt for the final piece of the black hole generator. The turtles are frustrated, but the Fugitoid reassures them that destroying this last piece will buy time to recover and eliminate the others from the Triceratons. They soon receive a distress call from Mona Lisa, Raph's Salamandrian love, reporting that Sal Commander has been captured by Armageddon and taken to Sectoid 1, Lord Dregg's home world. The team diverts to rescue him. On landing, Casey falls into a bug hole, disturbing a swarm of Zax bees and accidentally hitting Donnie in the face. Donnie is stung multiple times, so April and the Fugitoid take him back to the Ulixes for treatment, while Mona, Raph, Leo, Mikey, and Casey continue to Dregg's castle. At the throne room, the turtles fall into a trap. Sal Commander is revealed to be a hologram, showing the Salamandrians' betrayal. Raph is overwhelmed and knocked out by Armageddon. Dregg captures the group, while Armageddon and Vreen guard them. Back on the Ulixes, Donnie recovers with anti-venom and converts it into bug spray to help against the Vreen on their return. Back at Dregg's castle, Casey shatters their cell with his taser, and the turtles manage to overpower the Vreen and Armageddon. However, Dregg quickly overwhelms them and throws them into a pit housing the Scorpionoid. Struggling to escape, April, Donnie, and the Fugitoid arrive just in time. Using her psychic powers, April throws what Armageddon was eating at Dregg, making him think Armageddon was at fault. Dregg attacks Armageddon, giving April a chance to rescue the turtles while Donnie and the Fugitoid handle the Vreen. When Donnie's bug spray runs out, the Fugitoid fires a massive plasma blast, creating a hole in the wall. Leo shoves Armageddon near the pit, and a Scorpionoid tentacle drags him in. As they flee to the Ulixes, Dregg pursues them atop the Scorpionoid. Mona Lisa is struck during the battle, reigniting Raph's determination. Fueled by anger and grief, Raph decapitates Dregg, revealing a robotic head beneath. The Ulixes incapacitates the Scorpionoid and vaporizes the Vreen. Mona is treated aboard the Ulixes, and Sal Commander apologizes for his betrayal. Raph forgives Mona, and they share a heartfelt kiss. As the Ulixes returns to the Milky Way, the Turtles, April, and Casey are relieved to be back in the solar system, reuniting with friends and family. Their relief is short-lived, however, as the Fugitoid warns them that if they don't stop the Triceratons now, Earth is lost forever. They cannot undo it this time. The Triceraton flagship appears near Saturn, making its way toward Earth with the intent to destroy it. During their approach, the Fugitoid confesses a shocking truth. He, not the Krang, created the Heart of Darkness. Subprime had paid him to convert it from an energy generator into a doomsday weapon. At the time, the Fugitoid pursued his research blindly, but now he deeply regrets his actions. The gang is furious, particularly Leo, Raph, and Casey, for not being told earlier.
Wait! It doesn't make sense!
As the Ulixes nears Mars, Leo launches a solo attack on the Triceraton flagship, ignoring his brother's warnings. He destroys several raptors but is ambushed and fatally wounded, leaving his scout ship stranded in space. The Fugitoid diverts power to save him, and Donnie revives him using his bow staff.
Wait! It doesn't make sense!
Reunited and safe, the Turtles return to confront the Triceratons who have transported the Heart of Darkness to Washington Square, only to be challenged by the Turtles' past selves, April, Casey, and the Mutanimals. On board his destroyer, Mozar is stunned that the Turtles are already back on Earth engaging his forces.
How did the Turtles get back to Earth before us?
Meanwhile, the Ulixes rounds the moon and the satellite feed shows the Turtles' past selves attempting to rescue Mikey from Mozar's destroyer.
It's you guys, right? In the stealth ship?
Their Krang stealth ship is destroyed, but they teleport aboard using a Triceraton device and confront Mozar. Realizing they are their past selves, Mozar prepares to fight all of them at once. The Fugitoid orders the Turtles, April, and Casey to aid their past selves, while he retrieves the Heart of Darkness, which can only be destroyed with fusion energy and dark matter. When they refuse, he ejects them safely before departing.
Not? Now Mozart will win the second round!
The Turtles join their past selves just as Splinter and Shredder face off over the Heart of Darkness. Thanks to Leo's warning, Splinter survives and the detonator is destroyed, disabling the weapon. Mozar arrives but is overpowered and forced to retreat. Splinter defeats Shredder, who is rescued by Tiger Claw, vowing the Foot Clan's return. The Ulixes retrieves the Heart of Darkness, and the Fugitoid uses a fusion dark matter kamikaze to destroy Mozar's flagship, sacrificing himself. The Turtles and allies reunite, with past and present versions boarding the past Ulixes, returning home as debris floats in orbit, where the Fugitoid's severed head mysteriously reactivates. At Shredder's hideout, Stockman checks on his recovery from the mutagen treatment, but Shredder, impatient, demands the rest of the unstable mutagen. Stockman warns him that injecting it prematurely could endanger his sanity or mutate him into a monster. Shredder ignores the warning, threatening Stockman, who reluctantly proceeds. The mutagen takes full effect immediately. Shredder screams in pain, falls from his bed, and mutates into a massive, muscular humanoid with blades protruding from his body. Rocksteady and Stockman watch in shock as Shredder, now fully transformed, vows vengeance. Meanwhile, in the sewers, Splinter senses danger through a vision of Super Shredder attacking him, prompting him to end meditation with the Turtles and April early. Back at Shredder's lair, Tiger Claw arrives, demanding answers from Stockman. Shredder commands Razar to lure Splinter, confident his new body will allow him to finally defeat the Turtles. At Karai's stronghold, a sudden blackout alerts April and the Turtles. Shinigami and Karai try to respond, but Super Shredder arrives with Tiger Claw and Razar. Overpowered, Karai surrenders under threat to Shinigami. Outside, the Shellraiser confronts Super Shredder, but he stops it easily,
Take this crazy Akuma down.
delivering an ultimatum to the Turtles and igniting the Shellraiser's leaking fuel. The Turtles and April escape, though April is badly injured. Back at the lair, the Turtles and April tell Splinter about Super Shredder's ultimatum. Splinter agrees they must rescue Karai and leads them to the site of his last battle with Shredder. There, they are unnerved by photographs of Shredder, Splinter, Tang Shen, and Karai, which soon burst into flames. Escaping to Karai's old prison, more photos ignite, and Splinter rushes to her aid. A subway train carrying Razar and Tiger Claw separates the Turtles from him. Splinter locates Karai, but must use a smoke bomb to escape and prepare for battle as Super Shredder, now warped further by unstable mutagen, believes Karai is his daughter and blames Splinter entirely. Meanwhile, the Turtles defeat the train-bound villains after Fishface reroutes it, and April uses her psychic powers to track Splinter. Chrome Dome footbots block their path, and Super Shredder traps Splinter while his mutagen-distorted arm acts wildly. Splinter fires a kunai at explosives he had set, destroying the bridge supports. Both he and Super Shredder fall into the abyss, presumably dead. The Turtles, April, and Karai escape, but soon face Rocksteady, Bebop, and more elite Footbots, unsure how to proceed. They refuse to accept Splinter's death, but must regroup. The mutagenic serum that Super Shredder was transformed by had been stabilized at last. Super Shredder is rid of his weaknesses and out for Splinter and the Turtles, willing to end them all. Super Shredder targets the Mutanimals base in the Bronx where Karai is hiding and easily overpowers the combined forces of the Mutanimals and Karai, hospitalizing the latter. The remaining forces of the Mutanimals and the Turtles split up to cover two different tracks by Splinter's command, much to Leo's worry. Leo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Leatherhead leave for Coney Island to face Shredder's mutant cronies, leaving Splinter, Raphael, Casey Jones, April O'Neil, and Slash to face the unrelenting Super Shredder atop the Wolf Hotel, where the Turtles first fought him. The Turtles and Leatherhead handle Shredder's henchmen with ease, even drowning Razar in the process.
Take this crazy Akuma down.
However, they discover that the fight with Shredder's henchmen was all a ruse to split them up. Back at the Wolf Hotel, the combined forces of Splinter and his allies stand their ground, but are beaten by Super Shredder one by one. Splinter seemingly defeats Shredder by sending him off the building right as the remaining Turtles arrive. All seems well until Leo looks on in horror as the Super Shredder gets back up and Splinter turns around in horror. Shredder stabs Splinter through his front, much to Raph and April's horror. Now sated with the death of his lifelong rival, Shredder taunts the Turtles and throws Splinter's lifeless corpse onto the pavement below. Enraged, April unleashes an exceptionally strong wave of white psychic energy to throw Super Shredder off the roof and into a garbage truck, and Casey seemingly kills him by turning on the crusher. The grieving Turtles then carry Splinter's body to the Shellraiser and depart to lay him to rest. Super Shredder's hand bursts through the top of the truck, still very much alive. At the farmhouse in the woods, the Turtles, April, Casey, and the Mutanimals, minus Mondo Gecko, alongside Kirby, Shinigami, Chompy, Ice Cream Kitty, and Dr. Cluckingsworth, gather to pay their final respects at Splinter's grave. One by one, everyone leaves, except the Turtles. Leonardo departs to meditate at a nearby riverbank while his brothers remain behind. As Leo meditates, the wind whistles and he sees a vision of Splinter's spirit. Splinter imparts wisdom about life after death, the endurance of the spirit, and urges Leo to step up as the new sensei for his brothers and Karai. He warns Leo that Super Shredder is still alive and encourages him to end his reign of terror once and for all. Initially hesitant, Leo watches flower petals soar toward the sun and, putting on his empty white eyes, finds the courage to act. Back in New York City, the Turtles visit Karai in the hospital. Despite her injuries, cuts, bruises, and a broken arm, she gives them Super Shredder's hideout location and reassures Leonardo that she believes in him. In their lair, the Turtles,
or Dreg's home world. He controls the entire...
April and Casey suit up and head out with a cry of "Booyakasha!" After bypassing surveillance and Footbot defenses, they fight through elite Footbots and a cliffside ambush. April brings Fishface ashore, where Raph destroys him before they continue toward Shredder's hideout. Once inside Shredder's hideout, the Turtles find Stockman transformed into a fly. He proclaims Super Shredder unstoppable, but Mikey tosses one of Donnie's retro mutagen light bulbs at him, turning him human again. Angry at losing his fly form, Baxter is quickly knocked unconscious. Donnie scolds Mikey for wasting the mutagen, warning that they'll need it to revert Super Shredder. They move on to face Bebop and Rocksteady, who unleash heavy weaponry. Donnie cleverly turns their systems against them. Next, they encounter Tiger Claw, now with a prosthetic hand. He gains the upper hand and mocks the Turtles, claiming they are powerless without Splinter, but Leo overpowers him. Tiger Claw triggers a trapdoor, dropping the group among tigers, but they escape, with Leo damaging his jetpack. Finally, They confront Super Shredder. Separated from his brothers, Leo faces Shredder alone. Shredder overpowers him, sending him to the rooftop's edge, ready to finish him. At the last moment, Splinter's spirit encourages Leo. Summoning courage, Leo strikes, fatally defeating Super Shredder and claiming the mutated Kabuto, much to the relief of his team. Back in Manhattan, Leo apologizes to Karai for Splinter's death, but she assures him he did his best. The Turtles, April, Casey, and Karai celebrate their victory, knowing villains remain but confident in their unity and in Splinter's enduring spirit guiding them. Fishface recovers Razar's body from icy waters and delivers it to Cavaxus, who revives him under Tiger Claw's orders. However, Cavaxus explains that Shredder cannot return without his mutated heart and the Kabuto, which holds his mind. Tiger Claw sends Razar and Fishface to recover the helmet. At the Turtles' lair, Leo stresses discipline, even using Splinter's nerve poke on Raph after finding the place in chaos. Soon, Donnie and April detect mutant activity, so Raph and Mikey are sent to investigate. Meanwhile, Karai and Shinigami clash with traitorous foot ninjas and meet Karai's old teacher, Hattori Tatsu. Despite her snake form, Karai cannot overpower him and only escapes thanks to Shinny's distraction. After scolding his clan, Tatsu secures the Kabuto for himself. Karai realizes the danger and turns to the Turtles for help. When Raph and Mikey return with news of Tiger Claw's plan to resurrect Shredder, everyone agrees to stop both Tatsu and Cavaxus. The team raids Tatsu's safe house, but he quickly senses them and displays his deadly skill, proving he is no ordinary foe. At the party wagon, April senses foot soldiers nearby, and she,
Lord Drake's home world. He controls the entire...
Raph, Donnie, and Casey are quickly surrounded. Meanwhile, inside the hideout, Tatsu outmatches Leo, Karai, Shiny, and Mikey with ease. Karai manages to strike his mask, revealing he is completely blind, shocking Leo. Tatsu explains he was born blind but trained his hearing into a sixth sense. Shredder valued his skill, yet Karai once betrayed him, trying to remove him as a rival for control of the foot. Outside, April's group defeats the soldiers, though Donnie laments damage to the party wagon. Tatsu continues his assault, knocking Mikey and Shinny aside and overpowering Karai even in her snake form. Casey's explosive puck briefly disrupts him, but the team still struggles. Finally, Leo and Karai use more explosions to break Tatsu's focus, and Leo lands a nerve strike that allows Karai to defeat her old teacher. Karai claims leadership of the foot, but Cavaxus arrives, steals Tatsu's soul, and seizes the Kabuto. As the villains retreat, the Turtles regroup, vowing to stop them together. At his restaurant, Don Vizioso feasts while showing off Shredder's heart as a trophy. He boasts to the Hammer and Fulci twins that all of New York's crime belongs to him, and
Not? Now Mozart will win the second round.
with the Turtles gone, he will rule as top boss. Meanwhile, the Foot prepare to resurrect Shredder. Tiger Claw explains they have all the pieces of his body except for the heart, so they plan to steal it. Raph and Mikey secretly spy on the cult, while Rocksteady and Bebop are sent to track the missing organ. When Bebop learns Vizioso has it, he alerts Cavaxus, who orders them not to fail. At the restaurant, Leo wants stealth, but Donnie is focused on revenge for Vizioso's experiments on him. During the attempt, Bebop mistakenly grabs a pork chop instead of the heart, exposing himself. Rocksteady barges in with heavy fire, and chaos follows as everyone fights for the heart. Vizioso escapes using his weaponized chair. Later, Leo blames Donnie for the failure, while Donnie insists on chasing Vizioso first, defying the team and heading off alone. At the High Night Hotel, Don Vizioso and the Fulci twins wait for fake passports to escape, growing uneasy as they realize the true value of Shredder's heart. Outside, the Turtles, April, and Karai arrive, but discover Donnie has already broken in, seeking both the heart and revenge. Before they can stop him, Tiger Claw, Cavaxus, Bebop, Rocksteady, and even the Hammer attack, throwing the hotel into chaos. Cavaxis drains the hammer's soul while Mikey tricks Tiger Claw into chasing him with a fake seal. Inside, Leo saves Donnie from falling and joins him in fighting their way to Vizioso's room. Donnie corners the mob boss, ready to kill him, but Leo convinces him to remember who he is. Donnie relents, declaring Vizioso bound for prison. However, Tiger Claw and Cavaxis seize the heart, causing an explosion that sends the brothers crashing into an alley. The police arrest Vizioso and his men, but the turtles regroup to tend to an injured Mikey. Meanwhile, in the cult's lair, Cavaxis resurrects Shredder, and the Foot witnesses their master's terrifying return. Episode 3, Heart of Evil. With Shredder resurrected as an undead warrior, Tiger Claw believes victory is near. The turtles rush to stop the ritual but encounter Fishface, who reveals the Foot cultists were once humans mutated by Shredder's essence. He warns them that Shredder has already returned, then leaves to chase his own ambitions. The turtles soon battle Shredder and Cavaxis. Mikey briefly controls Cavaxis with the seal, forcing him to strike Shredder, but Tiger Claw reclaims it. The distraction lets Donnie gather crucial data, and the turtles escape. Back underground, Shredder shocks Tiger Claw by naming Cavaxis as his new second-in-command. When Tiger Claw refuses to hand over the seal, Shredder destroys it, unknowingly completing the steps of Cavaxis' plan. With the seal broken, Cavaxis summons undead spirits to invade New York. Horrified, Tiger Claw realizes he unleashed disaster, even as Bebop and Rocksteady flee and Razar is cast into the netherworld. To fight back, Donnie builds special devices, and Karai and Leatherhead join the turtles. On the surface, as spirits rise, April and the others are stunned to see Master Splinter among them, shielding them from Ho-chan's attack. Even with the support of the resurrected Shredder, Cavaxis is held back thanks to Leo, Leatherhead, Karai, and even Tiger Claw joining the fight. Meanwhile, Mikey discovers the broken seal and, to everyone's disbelief, repairs it with bubblegum. To Cavaxis' shock, Mikey once again gains control over him. Forced to obey, Cavaxis ends his invasion and reopens the portal to the netherworld. Shredder then declares that neither of them belong in the land of the living and personally shoves Cavaxis through, finally ending his threat. At the same time, Splinter sends Ho-chan back as the undead are recalled by Mikey's command. The next evening, Splinter is given one last chance to say goodbye. He thanks Karai, the turtles, April, Leatherhead, and Casey, wishing them luck before returning to the afterlife. Because of these events, Tiger Claw agrees to a ceasefire, ending the Hamato-Foot rivalry. To prevent future danger, the turtles destroy the seal and sink its remains into the ocean. Soon after the Technodrome powers up, the 2012 Turtles, the 1987 Turtles, and April arrive at its last known spot. Instead of finding it, they are ambushed by foot robots in combat machines. Shredder and Krang briefly taunt them on screen before the robots attack, but the turtles quickly smash them to scrap. Meanwhile, Bebop and Rocksteady are treated poorly by their masters and sent to the old Krang base at TCRY to collect energy crystals. There, they run into the Mutanimals and the Earth Protection Force, who try to stop them, but the two still escape with the crystals. When the turtles arrive, they only see Shredder helping his minions get away. With the crystals, Krang and Shredder raise the Technodrome and open a portal to Dimension X, unleashing Trog, Granitor, and an army of rock soldiers. The turtles, with their allies, struggle against the invasion. However, Bebop and Rocksteady finally switch sides, sabotaging the portal and blowing up the Technodrome. With the villains defeated, the 1987 Turtles return home, while their counterparts choose to live as heroes at last. In an alternate future, Earth is destroyed by a massive mutagen bomb that turns the planet into a lifeless desert. Humanity is wiped out, and only mutants survive. Among them, Raphael and Donatello wander through the wasteland in the Shellraiser, clinging to survival. Donatello now lives in a robotic shell, while Raphael struggles with fading memories of the past. Their journey takes a dark turn when they are discovered by Verminator Rex and his honey badger ravagers. The gang ambushes their camp at night, overpowering Raphael. Instead of finishing him, Rex demands answers about a girl and a map. True to form, Raphael answers with his fists, but is beaten down until Donatello intervenes. The brothers narrowly escape after a desperate chase. The next day, Raphael searches old ruins for supplies but is ambushed and knocked out by a meerkat mutant who steals the Shell Razor. Left behind, Raphael collapses, but Donatello rescues him after reclaiming the vehicle. Though Raphael wants revenge, Donatello persuades him to accept the mutant passenger, and the brothers continue their uncertain journey. During their journey, Donatello warns that they are nearing a dangerous region called the Impossible Desert. Mira, the young mutant traveling with them, explains that her goal is to reach the legendary oasis said to exist there. Later, at an abandoned gas station, she breaks free from her shackles and duels Raphael. He defeats her easily and tries to leave her behind, but she insists there is another turtle in the desert. Raphael doesn't believe her and moves on. Soon, Verminator Rex and the Honey Badger Ravagers ambush them again, demanding the Shell Razor. Raphael refuses and breaks through, but the Ravagers chase relentlessly. Just when things look grim, Mira secretly joins the fight and helps the brothers. The Ravagers discover a map tattooed on her arm, confirming she is the girl Rex wanted. With teamwork and Donatello's quick thinking, they destroy the Ravagers' largest vehicle. After repairs, Raphael and Donatello accept Mira as an ally. She reveals the hermit in the Impossible Desert is called the Holy Chalupa, a phrase that shocks them because only their lost brother Michelangelo ever used those words. Raphael and Mira are taken to the Scaletail Fortress, where Raphael is forced into a duel against Imperius Reptilicus. Verminator Rex soon joins the fight, leaving Raphael with only a withered branch to defend himself. Though overpowered at first, Raphael refuses to give up, resurfaces from the sewage ditch, and defeats both leaders. Meanwhile, Michelangelo and Donatello are revealed to be alive, saved by Chompy. They track the Ravagers to the fortress, but arrive just in time to see Raphael declared the new leader by the cheering crowd. With their new allies, the Turtles form a convoy and continue their search for the oasis. However, Verminator Rex informs his master, Maximus Kong, about Mira's map. Maximus attacks with a massive war vehicle, forcing Raphael's team into battle. During the clash, Raphael discovers Maximus is actually Leonardo, mutated by the blast of the mutagen bomb. After a fierce struggle, Leonardo finally regains his memories. Reunited, the brothers follow Mira's map and discover the legendary oasis. So that will be it from us. If you enjoyed the video, let us know which character was your favorite. Also, do not forget to leave us a like and subscribe to our channel for similar content. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at the next one.